The Northeast Texas Sports Network is dedicated on delivering the most entertaining sports broadcasts in East Texas. And if you're interested in having your next sporting event streamed live, visit us online at netsn.live.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome. Week 9, bEast from the East. It's your boy, Mr. NETSN, Brett 20. Tonight, we've got with us Jeremy Diamond and Mr. Red Zone OT, K.O. Collowans. Welcome, fellas.
Good to be here tonight.
Man, week 9. That just sounds so weird. I know we say it every week, but we're right in the middle now of kind of district play, and there's so many good games. And this week's pick'ems, though, were rough for us, guys. I mean, you know, some of us were over 500. Some of us weren't. Jeremy, you were the low man in the totem pole this week.
I wasn't under 500.
You were at 500. You were at 500.
I mean, it wasn't great. Let's admit.
No,
I've had two rough weeks in a row, and my slide on the leaderboard. Yeah, it's not been good.
Let's be honest. If we're below Jaron Peoples, then we're all struggling here. Let's just be real.
Hey, I'm above Jaron Peoples in the overall, and that's what really matters.
Me too. But
we're tied, so I don't know. It's kind of
you're all even tonight, Jeremy. You're just
I gotta step my game up here. It's
man. So this week was tough though. 8 was the top. I keep saying it. I mean, man, whoever's picking these games just makes it difficult. I don't know. We've had 110 all year. I think we had 110 all year,
yeah.
And since then it's been tough. But 8. So we had 7 people that had 8 correct this week. We had Casey Kirksey, Chris Merritt, Lewis Ray, Mark Holt, Ricky Bean, Tim Berry, and Wes Shue were our pick for this week. So let's give them an applause. There we go. Yeah. But that's pretty crazy that was the highest. I mean, I feel like this week I feel good every week. I'm like, man, I made these picks. I feel good. There's a couple of them that could go, 50-50, and man, it went real bad. I mean, I played bad. 6 out of 10 was what I had. I think KO, I think you were with me there at 6.
Yeah.
We had a couple that we had flipped, but
there was one of them that I picked with my heart.
Yeah,
that could have picked me up a 7th one. So,
yeah,
but I'll take that. I'll take that all day. I'll take it.
I picked 2 on a flyer, one of them to try to catch up, and it got me the opposite direction. It did not work in my favor. I took a chance on the Bullard Panthers and missed that one.
Hey, Bullard was
something to get a
Bullard was a lot closer, I think, than some people thought. They played tough with center there.
Yeah.
Let's
First half I didn't look too bad, but by the second half it wasn't a good pick. For sure.
Well, guys, I lost my grip of the overall lead. I was tied, but overall I am now second. Doug Montgomery now at first at 60, so I'm one back. Me, Jonathan Bradshaw, and Lewis Ray. About a 3-way tie for second there. So still right there in the mix. Let's see where you guys at here. Let's see. We got
21st.
Scrolling down, Chad Grubbs, 57. They're in 7th. Chad, one of our broadcasters. Coach McGee, Cayuga in 12th. KO, you're tied with him. They're in 12th.
Oh, I guess I'm not. Oh, 21st because of where I'm put on the board, but 12th.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
And then let's see. Yeah, Jaron. Actually, Jaron's on the first page now. He's ahead of Jeremy as far as
good job, Jaron.
Jaron Peebles on the first page. Wow.
Listen, it's alphabetical. Let's not go crazy here. If there's a tie in the score, it goes by first name. Let's not get wild here.
Hey,
he caught up to me. He didn't.
Hey, have you been picking with Tony Riley? Because y'all are tied now, Jeremy.
I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know. I've listened to the wrong voice in my head, and it's steering me wrong. I have to get back on the track here.
Poor Brandon. He's down in the 26th place at 52. We've all passed him up. I think he needs to come on the show a little more often. Maybe you can get some good picking advice.
We could sway him.
Yeah. But man, it's just it's crazy. And then Jeremy Hubbard's also there with him, so they're tied together at 52. But man, this game's last week, there was a couple that were head scratchers. Maybe not the result, but like how bad the games were. Like some of those. Let's go through week 8 here. Starting with the very first game. No trouble in that one. Carlisle took care of business in that game. We had that game on NETSN. The Carlisle Indians were they're on a not a rampage. What's the chant? Warpath. Yeah, they're on a warpath right now. That's a good description of them. They are all over Crossroads, 47-0. I mean, I think that was not. I mean, I kind of expected to win, but a statement win for them coming into a big game this week. There's going to be a lot of warpaths going on. The two warpaths are going to collide. Two groups of Indians going at it. What do you guys think? I think we all kind of picked this one. 2 people did have Crossroads in this one. I think they maybe they were Crossroad alum. Maybe Kyle
is that Crossroadians?
Yeah, that would have to be the case. That would have to be the case there. I mean, Carlisle did what they were supposed to do, and that's what you want to see out of a good team is to when you play a team that you're supposed to beat, you want to go out there and beat them. So Carlisle looked good.
Game 2 also in that district, Corsicana, Mildred, and Cayuga. This was one of my misses here. Mildred get the win over Cayuga, and we'll talk district standings here in just a little bit. But a surprise to Cayuga coming off an impressive showing against Carlisle, coming up just short. Thought they could bounce back at home, and Mildred said not so fast. They came out and got the win, and that's just going to be a crazy finish for Mildred. Did anybody? We all had Cayuga, right? Did anybody have Mildred in this one? No. Good win for Mildred there.
I think I know we're about to talk about Frankston too, and I think it goes to show how good that Frankston team is. Because we think Cayuga is a pretty good football team, and so for Mildred to beat Cayuga by 14, and then see what Frankston did to Mildred, I think that just speaks on how good this Frankston team really is.
Yeah. And then, of course, Frankston 34-12 over Kearns. We had that one, but an impressive win on the road for Frankston. And, they're going to be sitting at the top of district standings now with another team that they play this week. So one of the crazier games that we had, Timpson and Shelbyville. That game was on Thursday night. I got to sit at home and check that out as Larry had that game. And Shelbyville comes out with the win, and that district is just shaking on its head because in Game 5 we had St. Augustine beat Garrison, and this is one that surprised me, not by who won, but the score, as they just were all over them. Kyle, I mean, I know you had St. Augustine. I know you picked, that was one of your picks. Did you see 31-15 coming? I mean, I thought it would be like a one-score game.
No, I thought it would be a lot closer too, and I'd be really interested to hear from someone at the game and see exactly how that went. I told you this St. Augustine is impressive. Their St. Augustine team is impressive, and did I expect that score? No, but they did get the win. And then on the other side of it, Timpson. When I checked into the game on Thursday night, I looked. It was 14-3 Timpson. I was like, oh, okay, all right. Well, Timpson's got this one. I turned it off. Then I looked the next day and see Shelbyville won 17-14. You're just like, okay. So very impressive with Coach Wallace and the Dragons to be able to come back and get that win. And then, in the other game there with St. Augustine, just impressed with this Wolves team. And it sets up a major matchup for St. Augustine this week against that Shelbyville team. So it should be that district's going to be fun right to the very end.
I'm just gonna. Did y'all read this obnoxious, this outlandish statement in our group chat? Did y'all read this?
I did not. I don't know.
The comeback has started.
Oh Lord!
Behind KO by 1 point, tied with Jeremy, and we all know Brett is rigging the votes, so I don't even count him.
We got a conspiracy going on.
Man, he's throwing darts from the side, not even invisible.
I know he's throwing darts from afar.
Wow,
man.
That's bold. Now, if you're going to accuse someone of rigging votes, you better have some proof.
Yeah, I mean, how am I going to rig votes? I make the picks live on the show every week.
But we don't know that it's live. You're picking them live, but we don't know that you're inputting them at that same time. Oh
well, okay, we'll go back and check then. Get back with me. I mean,
we're gonna send Jaron on a deep dive down a rabbit hole of the Twilight Zone. He's gonna go back and watch every episode and double check Brett's picks to see.
I feel like that making the live picks every week on Tuesday nights, like we have the most disadvantage of anyone, right? I mean, everyone gets to see our picks. We can't. Jaron's been missing episodes, so we can't see who he's really picking.
Yeah, maybe that's why he's done better the last 2 weeks. He's checking to see what we do, and then he's like, okay. 2 out of 3, I'll take that one. 3 out of 3,
Yeah, that's probably what's happening. I mean, so we should just say if his votes aren't on the show, then he doesn't count, so he gets a 0.
It's an automatic -2. Well, I mean, I missed both. I missed both games. I missed Timpson. I had that one wrong.
I did too.
I mean, and then then I missed I had Garrison. I thought the Bulldogs at home, and so I missed both. And so, yeah, that was kind of I mean, again, I went 5-5, so there's nothing to shine about, but I was in the same place KO was. We looked and it was 14-3 or 14-3, and I was like, okay. And then not long after I was like, wait, what? Is this the right score? I was like looking it up in several places to see if somebody wasn't just trying to, scam it or something. But.
Well, speaking of right score, this next one was probably head scratching some folks across the state as Athens hung with Carthage 61-55. They put up 55 points against Carthage. And I was talking to Jaron, I believe, over the weekend. Of course, his brother works at the school over there. And he was talking to Larry Allen, who does their games, and he was going to go back and check to see if anyone had ever put up 55 points against Carthage, like in the time that Surratt has been there.
I think it was 56. Let's not short him a point.
Oh, well, it says 55 as far as the score that I have here.
I think it was 56, but either way.
55, 56. It was a close game. It was a close game. And I kind of thought that Athens was improved. I think I'd said still a couple score game, not a 1-score game. This was an impressive performance. And usually when a team loses in the poll, they move down. He'll find here in a minute that I actually did the opposite this week with Athens. I was impressed by the loss just because I'd seen the teams that Carthage had beat that are really high in our poll. And I actually moved them up a few spots, which is, I know it's weird, but that tells me they're a really good football team if they can hang with Carthage, our number 1 team in our poll. So shout out to Coach Harrell. and now they know that they can play with Carthage. Maybe they'll give them their chance here in the next 5 or 6 weeks. We may see a rematch of that game, but just so impressive. And if you're Coach Surratt, it's a good challenge, right? They've played a tough preseason schedule, but their district slate has not challenged them a whole lot over the last couple of years. So if you're Coach Surratt, you're like, okay, guys, we got to refocus now. There's some competition out there. It's just a good way to get them back focused.
I think the most impressive thing is the 55 points, right? I mean, again, like you said, I didn't think the game was going to be way out of reach, but I also didn't think it was going to be a 61, 56, or 55, whatever that was. That's way more points than I assumed it would be. I assumed if it was going to be close, it was going to be a 28-13 or a 28-14, right? I thought it was going to be more in that realm if it was going to be a close game. I didn't see that many points put up in a game. I mean, that's a lot of points. And again, for it to be that close is impressive too.
I think it was good for Carthage that they got a test, like you said. They're probably not going to be tested the rest of the regular season, so it was good for them to find a way to win a game. We've seen them be tested against Kilgore earlier this year. Chapel Hill had them on the ropes at halftime, but in that game in the second half, Carthage was able to wear them down and pull away from Chapel Hill. Athens didn't go away. Athens kept coming back. Every time Carthage would throw a haymaker, Athens would throw another haymaker back, and it was just they were going blow for blow, and it was fun to see. It was fun to see a game where the best team in the state got a test, but they were still able to prove we're the 10-time state champs for a reason. But then when you look at the Athens side, I know I don't necessarily agree with you moving them up because of a loss. I don't think we need to punish them hard for a loss like that, but move them up is wild work to me. But I understand why you did it. But I think
there were also some teams ahead of them that lost that were not as like there was a bad loss, in other words. So they didn't move ahead. They didn't move ahead of a team that won, I don't think.
Gotcha. So Athens, though, I think can take a lot from this, and Coach Harrell can go back and say, guys, we had our chances. We had moments where we could have beat this team. So we get those cleaned up. Who knows? This Athens team could make a run all the way to Arlington. So I mean, I think you're impressed with both teams. It's one of those rare games where you're impressed with both teams coming out of it, win or lose. And I think that I hope we do see another matchup between these two down the road in the playoffs, because that would be one heck of a game to watch.
Game 7, the Bullard Center game, 44-27 Center. That game was it was close. Bullard had some chances there in the game, but Center ended up pulling out the win. I think this is a tale to me of how we talked about that the distance between third, fourth, fifth. I think there's not as much distance there as there is between second and third. I think there's a bigger gap there. And I just think that's what we're seeing here. Jeremy, you had Bullard. That was your sleeper pick. They played hard, just couldn't get the win there on the road there in Center.
Yeah. And I mean, admittedly, I took a chance just trying to see what could happen, right? And I thought in the first half I was like, okay, I'm okay, right? And again, I mean, Center did a great job of finishing that game, and but I think too for Bullard, I think that's a little bit of a confidence boost, right? Because you were able to hang with them and and keep it close, and they came off a big win last week for homecoming, and so I think there are things there to build on, and again, just to continue to do. But again, Center came out and did what Center needed to do to kind of keep themselves moving in the right direction.
I thought Center would handle Bullard a lot easier than they did. It was closer than I thought. I think I said last week that Center should win this one easy, and it's not going to be as close as y'all were thinking. And I was wrong. It was closer than I thought. But I think when you look at the district, I think the 4 teams are there. I think you got your 4 playoff teams. It's just a matter of where they end up, and I think we have a pretty good idea of how they end up too. So, I mean, it's good that Center was able to pick up that win and kind of solidify themselves in that 3rd spot, I think, in the playoffs, and avoid having to play the number 1 seed in the other district. So I think it was all around good night for Center and a good win. But like you said, Jeremy, I think it's a boost of momentum for Bullard that, hey, we're not that far off, right? Like, we're not as far off as it may have seemed in years past. We're right there. We just clean up some things, make a few plays here and there, and that game could have turned out different. So I think it's, again, a positive for both teams coming out of it.
Game 8, Van over Gilmer, 48-38, and what was a close game there, 10 points. I did have Gilmer in this one, or Van in this one. Kyle, did you end up picking Gilmer in this game? I thought you did.
No. I picked Van.
Oh, that's right. That was that last game you picked that was different. Okay. All right.
Van's not my alma mater, but I did pick Van.
Well, you picked it for Jeremy then.
Yes, absolutely. Shout out to for you.
I am a little surprised that it was as close. I thought Van might get him by a little more than that, but I think Gilmer's going to be one of those teams in the playoffs. You look at their record, even if they win the rest of their games, right now they'd be 5-5,
which they won't,
because they've still got to play Pleasant Grove. That's next week's. Yes, so I'm saying if they did, so they're either going to have a 500 record or below, come into the playoffs, and they're probably going to face Athens first round. If we're just predicting Athens Gilmer first round game, that's a pretty juicy.
Play it at the Rose. Let's do it. Just book it already. First round.
How many points? Maybe one of those over unders like me and Jeremy saw Friday night, where you just say over under 150 points, and you just defense is optional.
Yeah, I'm not as surprised, honestly, by the score. I think Van's a really good football team. I don't know what Gilmer is. Like we are 7-8 games into the year, and I don't know what Gilmer is. Like they play good against these really good teams in non-district, some of them. Then they get blown out by Kilgore. Then they turn around and beat a good Pittsburgh team, and then come out and lose to Van. I get it's by 10, but I mean, dude, like I don't know what Gilmer is. I know I have a good feeling of what Van is. I know what to get when I watch a Van football game. I know what to expect. I just don't know what I'm getting week in and week out from Gilmer, and that's what's so hard to gauge them. But you sign me up for a Gilmer Athens first round matchup. That is enticing. I mean,
it's not guaranteed, obviously, but it's very good. There's a very good chance there, though, if things fall the way we think they are, which. Who do we know? We were 6-4 and 5-5 this week, so maybe we don't know.
We don't know anything.
But
too with Gilmer, like I mean, again, I'm not a native Texan, right? I've only lived here since 2004, but I don't remember a time where Gilmer wasn't competing for the district championship, if not winning it, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure there have been, but like, it's not that thing where you're like, they're a team that's expected. And I think that's the harder thing is like this is their floor. And they're not even going to make their floor this year as far as what win-loss record is going to look like. And I think that's the wild thing. It just kind of came, and it feels like it came a little bit out of nowhere. And I mean, I don't know, maybe there are people that are in the know in Gilmer that would be like, we kind of saw this coming, but I didn't. I'll confess, I didn't think. I mean, again, I saw the non-district, and I thought it was going to be tough, but I think the lack of competitiveness worries me. Right? I said before it was a 5-alarm fire, and I think that's more the point. Not that you're losing games, but those games they weren't competitive in. Again, I think there's some identity issue. And it may come down to, I mean, I think it's defensive identity more than offense, just because it doesn't matter. I mean, if you can't slow anybody down, if you're giving up 66, I mean, that's a tough task to score 70, And so in those kind of situations, you're putting yourself behind if you can't keep a team under 30, it's hard to win games, right? And so I think that's the bigger issue.
All right, let's go down here. Game 9, the upset special of the week. One person picked Pine Tree out of 71 picks. One person. They got a whole game on everybody, whoever that was. So shout out to that person. And it wasn't a close game, guys. That's what surprised me. I mean, I thought that this would be a good game. I thought Henderson would win, but if you'd have told me it was going to be a blowout either way, I'd have been like, no way. I thought it would at least be close on either side. And if it was a blowout, I would have went with the Henderson side, just to what we've seen. But Pine Tree comes into Henderson, guys, and wins 49-21. Wasn't even close. I mean, and this game was possibly for 4th place. So now you're looking at, we still have Chapel Hill still has both of these teams left on their schedule. They're sitting in 3rd. And so now there's all kinds of scenarios here. Chapel Hill loses to these two teams and they're out. That these could end up with a 3-way tie. All kinds of scenarios are alive here. And if it does, and it comes down to a 3-way tie with point differential, Henderson's -28, which they probably can't have that many. There's probably a limit on the district points. I don't know what that is. Kyle, you might know.
I think it was usually, well, I don't know what it is now, but I know when I was in school, I think it was 18 was like if you got beat by more than 18, it just stopped.
Or whatever it is, they're on the limit of this one. So
yeah, they hit the limit.
Not a good spot to sit in. And so this was another one of those scores. I wasn't surprised that Pine Tree won. I mean, I picked Henderson, but it wasn't a complete surprise. But it was the score that I was surprised by. What'd y'all think about this when y'all saw this score?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see the box score. Like, was it a turnover fest? Did somebody get hurt? Like, and again, I'll confess, I don't know, right? But I was shocked. I mean, when I saw the score, I was like, hold on, that can't be it, right? We were out there Friday night and doing our game, and we kept looking at scores. And at one point, I held it over to Brett, and it was like, and his eyes got real big, and I was like, we were like both going, what happened? Like, again, not that we didn't think Pine Tree could win it, but we did not see, and again, we had the game that probably went on the longest of any game on Friday night. And so we saw a lot of finals as our game was just in the third quarter, but it was definitely a shocker.
I mean, I didn't see it coming, but I'm not surprised, I guess, because this district, anybody can beat anybody on any given night. Every coach says that, from Fuller, Reardon, Bachman, Meeks, Cochran. Everybody says you got to bring your A game each night, or you could stop it, or you could get beat. So, and that's what happened. I mean, I think it's hard to tell, right? Like, we think Henderson is a good football team. They have a very explosive offense, but the Pine Tree defense shut them down. I mean, shut them down. We saw Kilgore's defense. Now, granted, I think two different levels there, but Kilgore's defense shut them down too. So there's moments where this Henderson offense gets shut down, and when they do, they need to rely on that defense to make stops that just didn't do it Friday night. So very impressive win for Pine Tree. Henderson has two tough matchups remaining against Chapel Hill and Lindale. Pine Tree's got two tough wins, 3 games, 2 tough ones with Chapel Hill, Lindale, and then Palestine at the end of the year. So, like, this win for Pine Tree was huge. Like, that gets them right back into the thick of things when it was kind of looking dim for them for a second. So, we say it every week. There's 5 teams battling for 4 spots. There's going to be a really good football team that gets left out of the playoffs in this district. I don't know who it's going to be, but there's going to be a team that gets left out coming down at the end of this.
And Kyle, I can tell you who it's not going to be. It's not going to be the Kilgore Bulldogs, as they got to win 49-29. You were there, KO. Give us an overview of what happened here in this one.
First off, shout out to the Kilgore Bulldogs. They said this after the game: walk into your trap, take over your trap, and they did it. They did that. They came in there, BTA, all of it. Yep, exactly. I get it. I heard it from them personally Friday night because I graduated from Lindale, so I get it. I wasn't going to pick against my alma mater. That's the fact. But if you do remember, pick Kilgore to win state at the start of this whole thing. So I know Kilgore is a really good team. But it was Kason Brooks, man. Kason Brooks had over 350 yards of total offense. He accounted for 6 touchdowns, 4 of them through the air, 2 of them on the ground. Jacalen Sheffield went off. Let me get exactly – Jacalen Sheffield had 7 catches for 137 yards and a touchdown. LaKeeleon Graves had 4 catches for 101 yards and a touchdown. Dre Sanders had a touchdown. Tyler Johnigan had a touchdown. Rayshawn Williams on the ground had over 116 yards rushing. Like, it was – and we know what Kilgore's defense is. Like, Kilgore can win in multiple ways. We've seen them put up 60-plus points against Gilmer and other teams. We've seen them play a low-scoring game against Pleasant Grove and win 18-6. Like, they can win in multiple ways, and that's what makes them such a dangerous football team. But it came down to big plays. Lindale gave up too many big plays on Friday night. It was, and the other problem was on 3rd and 4th down, they couldn't get off the field. I don't know what the 3rd down conversion or anything like that was, but it just felt like anytime Lindale's defense made a couple of stops, made a couple of negative plays, and got Kilgore in a 3rd and long situation, a 3rd and medium, 3rd and long, Kilgore would find a way to convert. And that is backbreaking for a defense. When you are trying to go blow for blow with the team and you get to that 3rd down or even that 4th down and you're about to get off the field and they just get the 1st down or maybe hit a big play to get the 1st down, that's demoralizing for your defense. And Kilgore took advantage of that. They converted and made the plays when they needed to. And my pick has not changed. I think this Kilgore team still goes to state this year. They are way too talented at every single position, every level. The defensive line is solid. The linebackers are solid. The secondary is good. The offensive line is good. Skill position's good. Your quarterback can throw darts. This team is a very complete team, and they put on a heck of a show Friday night.
As I was miming a minute ago, you got to get your popcorn ready because it's going to get exciting these last few weeks, right? This is that district where you just want to sit back and eat some popcorn and watch some fantastic matchups, right? And again, I think you're right. There's going to be a really, really good team that gets left out of this. There's going to be a team that's going to look back at one game or a play here or there and go, we were this close to the playoffs and this happened, right? And that's an unfortunate thing sometimes when you have these districts where there's a lot of talent. And, I think this loss, the loss to Pine Tree really, really hurts Henderson, and again, we know Lindale is going to be in a great spot. They're a very good team. I don't think that, we had a feeling again. I know you picked with your heart, but man, this Kilgore team is legit, and I think Lindale's right there at number 2. I don't doubt that for a second. But man, it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of that shakes out, right? And again, somebody really good is going to get left at home, and they're going to be looking back at the chances they just missed out on. Hey, if we had a play here, a play there, and man, that's just brutal, right? And that's the way sports are. And man, they make you fall in love with them and they break your heart at the same time, right? And so that's what we love about it. But it is tough, and there's going to be a team that misses out just because of something like this, because there are some really good teams in this district.
I want to say real quick too, Brad. I know I focused that whole little diatribe on Kilgore, but on the Lindale side, we knew they weren't going to quit, right? We know Lindale isn't the type to lay over and tuck their tail when times get tough. They battled in this ball game. Brody Copeland went up multiple times and made man catches, where he had to just go up and physically get the ball. It wasn't easy. Nothing was easy for the Lindale offense, but they continued to grind it out and continued to make plays and continued scoring at the end. They just couldn't get the stops on defense. But the offense was still able to move the football at times against this Kilgore defense that is one of the best in the state. So I think it's not the sky's not falling in Lindale. I'm here. We're good. The sky's not falling here in Lindale. The team is fine. There's still a very good football team here in Lindale. You ran up against a better team, and sometimes that happens. Maybe they'll meet again in the playoffs down the road, and we get to see a rematch of this. But on Friday night, Kilgore was the better team. Lindale is not a bad team, though. Lindale is still very, very good.
Yeah, they've got a couple games to stay focused on. KO, they've still got some tough meat on that bone left on their schedule.
Yeah, it's not gonna and that game at the end of the year between Lindale and Henderson, that could potentially, depending on what happens with the Pine Tree game, but you look at that game at the end of the year, that Lindale Henderson game could be for the 4th and final playoff spot. So there's it. Lindale, and they don't need to let their guard down this week, even though you're playing a Maybank team that's struggling right now. This is not the week to go out there and go through the motions and end up getting beat by Maybank, because then your back's against the wall. So I think you got to go out there. Sounds bad. Maybank people are going to hate this, but it's a get right game for Lindale. Get focused back in, get some momentum going back, and go into that final stretch against Pine Tree and Henderson with some momentum, and you can come out of this with a 2 seed.
A couple of just going through the games before we look at district standings. Shout out to Coach Welch and Russ getting his first win as a head coach as they beat Brownsboro at home 28-21. So always a cool moment to get that first win. Going down through the scores, just as any of the other games that really we watched the Longview Legacy score. We were confused early as Longview was kind of playing with Legacy. But then they were able to stretch out and get the win 63-20. Let's see. Was there any other I
thought, man, White House hung with Mac right to the end, right? It was really 27-24 late. and then Knack put a touchdown in, kind of seal it. But hats off to Whitehouse for taking what looks like a really good Knack team and pushing them right to the limit. And again, I think you've seen growth from Whitehouse in that, right? And I think finding somebody that can at least key the offense a little bit and let JoJo kind of be JoJo has been helpful. But yeah, I mean, good on Whitehouse for doing that, and again, good on Knack for getting another win and just stretching out. I mean, 6 wins already on the season out of 7 games, and
the best start since 2013 for Knack.
Yeah, and I got
over a decade.
I got to talk to Coach House.
He's a great guy.
Too. And yeah, we were trying to make sure our guys had places and situated, and I kind of did talk to him and congratulate him on the season so far. And like he said, there's a lot of meat in their bone ahead of them too, so they could continue to climb up. They're not settling for 4th. They don't really want 4th. You don't want to be 4th and having to play in that number 1 seed across the way and travel. So
I don't think they are the 4th team, and I know we'll talk about it in one of the games, I'm sure, on the Pick'ems, but they have an opportunity on Friday where if they get a win, I think they can host a playoff game. Yeah. And who would have thought that at the start of the year that Knack would be hosting a playoff game? So freshman quarterback, a stud outside receiver, and Micah Lockett, the state 5A high jump champion, they have some stud, and they got that quarterback for the next 3 years after this. It's something to build on. And
he told me, he said that that first game he'd only had a couple of practices under his belt at quarterback. The game he's
growing every game. Every game he's getting better and better. There's a couple other games I want to mention. Disappointed in Tyler High. I think they had an opportunity Friday to go out there and seal up a playoff spot and ended up losing 42-25 to Centennial. So they still have a chance. They're not out of it by any means, but I think that was a missed opportunity on Friday to go ahead and lock in a playoff spot. And then probably, in my opinion, the best 1-win team in the state of Texas, the Mount Pleasant Tigers, they have been in almost every game this season, and they nearly beat Texas High in Texarkana on Friday night, 21-15 loss. I know Coach Cluley ain't going to like to hear that, and the 1-6 record isn't great, and the fans in Mount Pleasant aren't going to want to hear that. But you look at their schedule and how they've played in these games, this is the best 1-loss team in the state, and it's a shame that I hope they make the playoffs, because I think if they make the playoffs, they could make a little run, maybe a 2 or 3 round deep run, because I think the talent is there.
I think they still make the playoffs. I think they should.
I think they can.
I think who's left on their schedule? They've got to have.
They got Jacksonville this week.
Okay.
And then they travel to Nacogdoches, and then they ended at home with Hallsville. So you should win 2 out of those 3.
They should be no worse than 4.
Right.
If they beat Nacogdoches, they could be 3.
Yeah.
Depending on how the Marshall and all, but yeah, I think that's so they should get a couple of wins. I mean, this
team is so good, man. It's just not they're so close. They are so incredibly close to being a 5-2 team, a 6-1 team. Like this record could be completely flipped. That's how close this team is, and it's encouraging, but it's also super frustrating if you're a fan of the team, because you're like,
well, and I think too to get your kids to continue to fight like that when things feel like they haven't been going your way, right? Like, I mean, that's hard, right? If you lose a lot of heartbreakers, it's hard to keep your heart in games, right? You lose games by a little bit here or there. I think that's tough. Man, another crazy game. Brett and I were looking at it. We were shocked, but hats off to Dieball. I mean, they gave Westwood all they wanted. In fact, Dieball was ahead early in that game, and I showed it to Brett, and we were both like, that was the other shocker, right? Those were the 2 big shockers of the night. And I thought, man, Westwood's in trouble. Like, this is crazy. And again, Westwood, pulled it out, but only by 3. And I did not see that coming. Again, Dieball coming in at 2-5, right, versus a Westwood team that really hadn't been challenged much, if at all season. And they almost lost a game. I wonder if they were, doing that thing that young guys sometimes do, where they look ahead. But man, whew.
Yeah, I was impressed. So Liberty Ilo gave Atlanta a little bit of a game, 33-19. From a Liberty Ilo team now at 2-5. Atlanta still pacing along. Them in Gladewater kind of got their sight sets on the district championship matchup coming up. So a little bit closer there than I would have thought. But a good game for Liberty Ilo there. I
know it's a DFW game, but Rockwall and Forney, 47-48. Forney comes from behind to get the win. That was kind of a crazy one. Again, Rockwall has been a little up and down this year, but and Forney was sitting at 5-2. But yeah, that was a game that I kept looking at scores and it kept going back and forth. And Rockwall had the lead, and then Forney kind of came storming back in the second half and got it by 1.
What about Lufkin getting a big win, KO, over Baytown Sterling, 31-21?
They needed that.
Much needed win for Lufkin.
They needed that. I mean, it's. I don't think the district title's in the play anymore for Lufkin. I know they only have one loss, but I just don't think it's. I think there's other teams in that district that are gonna win that district, but they have a big one with Port Arthur Memorial, who's leading that district right now. So if they can get a win this Friday night over Port Arthur Memorial, then Lufkin's back in the driver's seat. So big time win on Friday for Coach Absek and the Panthers.
And then Dangerfield getting a big win over Hooks.
That was a basketball game. They quit playing football already. They're playing basketball now. 76-59.
76-59.
Oh.
It's wild. I thought we had a lot of points in our game. We did in the first half. We had 86 in our first half, and then the defenses both made adjustments. We were joking at halftime like 150 might not be out of reach, and then nobody scored in the third quarter of ours, and we're like, well, maybe I shouldn't have said anything.
Well, we had so speaking of that game, since you mentioned it, Jeremy, Troops got some dudes. Got to see them in person. Mr. Wells had a pretty nice night. Was that 5 or 6 touchdowns?
5 tutties, 218 in the first half, and then he only had to run the ball about 5 times in the second half. I think he ended with over 250.
And anytime the Holly brothers touched it,
touchdown,
and they were in open space, it was going to be a touchdown. So,
but hats off to New Diana because they matched them early in that game, punch for punch. It was score. I mean, I think one score in the first half was under 10 yards, and it was a 4-yard run by Wells. Everything else was 22 and up. I mean, it was 47, it was 67, it was 54. I mean, it literally was a track meet. Like we were joking, like we were watching heats of the 100-meter dash. And then the third quarter turned into like the marathon. Nobody scored.
That's why our game was at halftime, and some of these games were over. Like it was the longest first half, which it was exciting, which was great. We could have been watching a boring one that for some reason was taking a long time. But
you know what impresses me about Troop is their speed. Like they have so much speed on the field, and I think in years past, in my opinion anyway, Troop's been more of a smash mouth team where they're just going to kind of ground and pound you out. But this year it seems that they have speed, and they are opening up the field and letting those athletes get into space and make plays. And it's obviously showing on the scoreboard. They're putting up a ton of points. And that game was close though at first. That game was close near halftime too. And then Troop just kind of pulled away. And again, that's a mark of a good football team. You get battle tested in that first half, but in the second half you pull away and prove you're the better team.
Hey guys, we mentioned track meet. They did run one. It was in Hooks, Texas. Dangerfield 76, Hooks 59. There was
what we were just talking about.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Y'all cut off a while ago, and it cut out. So I must have missed that then.
Yeah, we said they were already playing basketball.
Oh, it cut out, and I didn't hear you. I think the internet was glitched or something, and y'all were like robots for a second. And I didn't hear what you said, but yeah,
that's a wild one. And then the other good game was the Sulphur Paris game, 38-35. Sulphur comes out with a win, but Paris showed themselves well in that one, and so I think that was
a big game for Sulphur Springs right there.
Yeah,
they got that win,
especially coming off the loss of last week. That to right the ship and hang on in a tight one.
Well, it keeps them in a chance to get that second place. I think they still have to play Panther Creek this year, and so that'll be for second now. They were to have lost to Paris, that would have kind of interrupted their opportunity to get that second seed. So, let's see if there's anything else. I think that was pretty much it. I kind of want to go down through the district standing and kind of read them off, and as we have them, and just kind of make our thoughts of, okay, who do we think's in, who's in trouble, who needs to get some wins. I'm going to start at the top with 6A. Obviously, Longview sitting at 2-1 is in third spot there. You got Rockwall Heath at 3-0, Forney at 3-1, Longview and North Forney at 2-1, Rockwall at 1-2, Roy City at 1-3, and then of course Tyler Legacy down there at 0-4. Anybody concerned about the Lobos here? Kyle, you're not. How do you feel? Where do you think they're going to end up finishing here?
I'm not prepared. I'd have to look at the rest of the schedule, but I think that there's they've
got
there's
Rockwall Heath and North Forney and Royce City left.
Well, they beat Royce City easy, I think, and then the North Forney and Rockwall Heath games are big games. I can see them. They have a chance to win the district if Forney can get knocked off by somebody on the road here or on the way towards the end of the season here. Then Longview has a chance if they can win out. I don't. It's going to be tough, man. Rockwall Heath obviously having a really good season, so we'll just have to see how that goes.
Forney still plays Rockwall Heath the last week of the season.
There you go. So if Longview can get a win over Heath and then Heath beat Forney, there you go. Longview's district champs.
Yeah. Forney's got Legacy left, and then Rockwall Heath. So
yeah,
we're counting on Rockwall Heath here.
I don't think we're counting.
Sorry,
Jeremy.
Yeah. Again, I think they knew it coming in. It's tough sledding, right? Like it's just. Yeah.
Let's look over here at 5A Division 1 in District 7 here with Tyler High now. You mentioned it a while ago now at the KO. So they sit at 2-2. You've got Highland Park at 3-0, which you think about that. They were right with Highland Park in that shootout a few weeks back. You got Burleson Centennial at 2-1, Midlothian at 2-1, Red Oak at 2-1, Tyler High at 2-2, Joshua at 1-3, Cleburne at 0-4. Tyler High has Midlothian and Red Oak left on their schedule. So
they're going to have to win one of those.
In front of them, right? You beat them both and you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to have to at least get one, though, to get into the playoffs. Like that, they don't have to win both to get in. It would be nice, obviously. But I think if they win one of those two, they're in. It's just you have to win one of those two. And I think that's why this Burleson Centennial game was so big. Because if you go ahead and get that win, you get that out of the way. You're locked in. You get it out of the way, you're in. You're good. But now you have to go out there and win. And they can. The Lions can. I have no doubt that they can. It's just now I feel you've put more pressure on yourself in these last couple of games.
Well, and I feel like their offense has been a little like we thought they had righted the ship with the offense, and then this week it was kind of sputtered a little bit, I think. And so, I mean, that's the key for them. Like, their defense is not as good as it's been, and so for them, they've got to get the offense going, right? They've got to get something going early. They get behind, and it's just a struggle for them, to try to match point for point. So I think they need to get out on the front foot in those last couple of games to get a good shot at getting where they need to be.
It's a big game Friday at Rose. Tyler and Midlothian. That's a huge game.
Okay, so we moved down to District 9. We talked about Lufkin a minute ago. Right now, they are in second place at 2-1. You've got Port Arthur Memorial at 4-0 at the top. And then you've got Barbers Hill at 2-2, Baytown Sterling at 2-2, Beaumont United 1-2, Beaumont Westbrook at 1-2, and Galveston Ball at 0-3. So Lufkin sits there. They've got Port Arthur Memorial this week. So that's their big game.
That's what I'm saying. I think they can win out the last two, the Galveston Ball and Beaumont United. I think they can win those. So I think they make the playoffs. I'm not worried about that. But if you can go out there and beat PA Memorial, then you're sitting in the driver's seat. I mean, if you win out, you win the district. So I think everything's right in front of them.
Oh, yeah, perfect, Kay. You're on the same. We're on the same page here. All right, let's move over to the Division 2 ranks in 5A. Let's look at this district we just talked about. We talked about it a second ago. Mount Pleasant 1-6 there, sitting in 5th place, but they've got a lot of winnable games ahead of them. So right now you've got Texas High sitting at 4-0, Nacogdoches at 3-0, Marshall 2-1, Hallsville 1-2, Mount Pleasant 1-2, White House 1-3, Jacksonville 0-4. We talked about Nacogdoches, what they have left. They've got Marshall, Mount Pleasant, and Texas High. So it's almost like they could just work their way up. As right now, hey, they're the 4th team. Then they win this game, they move up. They could just move all the way up, end up winning district if they're able to win those 3 games. A tough finish though, but at 3-0, I think that pretty much puts them in. I don't see a scenario where they would lose all 3 and be out, but you never know. I think they've already beaten the teams below them. The one would be, Mount Pleasant. I think has got the the most to improve on. We talked about their schedule coming in. They've got Jacksonville, Nacogdoches, and Hallsville. So that's 2 for sure winnable games. And then I think that Nacogdoches Mount Pleasant game, I think that could be an interesting one.
Yeah, I think that's the big one, right? I think Hallsville's in an okay spot right now with a 1 district win, but their 1 district win was Jacksonville, right? And so Hallsville is going to have to get a couple more to have a shot at sticking around where they're sitting at. And so that Mount Pleasant Hallsville game right at the end will be a really big one.
Yeah, I think Texas High probably wins the district. This game Friday that I know we haven't talked about it yet. We'll get to it, but the NAC Marshall game, I think, is for your 2 and 3 spots in the district. I mean, I just think those 2 are the 2 better teams there. And then I just said Mount Pleasant was the best 1-loss team in the state. I think they make it in. I just don't know if they get past that 4 seed. I don't know. I can't see. They've already lost to Marshall. They beat White House, but they already lost to Marshall and Texas High. If they lose to NAC but beat Jacksonville and Hallsville, I think they get in, but they get in as the 4 seed. But again, all you need is an invite to the dance. That's it. That's all you need is just a chance to get in. So I think, there's an opportunity there. I think you got your – and barring something crazy like Hallsville beating Mount Pleasant or something, barring something crazy, I think you got your 4 playoff teams in there.
All right. We talked about this one a while ago. It's on that edge. We'll mention it because we have Sulphur in there. This killer of a district in 4A Division 1. You have Salina, Panther Creek, Sulphur Springs, and Paris. Those are probably locked as your 4 playoff teams, if I was guessing. And then you've got Sulphur Springs still has that game with Frisco Panther Creek. That is week 11. So that'll be for probably that 2 and 3 seed we talked about. I don't think anybody's, Salina, I don't see them having any trouble with anybody the rest of the way on their schedule. They've got Paris, Nevada Community, and Lake Dallas. So they've kind of gone through the meat of their schedule. And if you look at it, Frisco Panther Creek, it was their toughest competition. They beat them by 7, and they beat Sulphur by 24. So it tells me that, Sulphur's going to have to show up and play a really good game to beat Frisco Panther Creek. So we'll see kind of where they end up falling there. But the district that we just talked about a little earlier, this is going to be a crazy finish. District 9. You've got Kilgore sitting at 4-0. They're in. They're fine. I think we all safely assume they're going to be the district champion. You've got Lindale 2-1, Pine Tree 2-1, Chapel Hill 2-2, Henderson 2-2. Man, there's going to be some great finish games. You got Lindale's going to finish last 2 games, Pine Tree, Henderson. And Chapel Hills also has Pine Tree and Henderson. All these teams are going to be playing each other here in the next few weeks. And it's going to be very interesting. I feel like you could finish, every team in this list has a chance to finish 2 through 5 probably right now if something goes their way, just because of the way it is. You have Lindale. If they lose 2 games, they could slide all the way down. I don't know that they're locked in or out. They do have Maybank still on the schedule, so that should be a win for Lindale. So that's a little bit of a head up for them. But man, what do y'all think here with this? I mean, this is going to be. We saw it last year. Henderson and Lindale played week 11 for a spot.
I don't want to say Lindale's in at the moment. I think even a win over Maybank, you can't count them in because they still got to play Pine Tree and Henderson. And I think because of who they have left on their schedule, you can't count them in. But this, if I just had to make a guess, obviously Kilgore wins the district. I think Lindale is your 2 seed. I think Lindale can beat Henderson and Pine Tree. And then since Pine Tree or then Chapel Hill, if Chapel Hill can beat Pine Tree this week, I think Chapel Hill gets that 3 seed. And then because Pine Tree beat Henderson, I think Pine Tree gets the 4, and I think Henderson's left out. That's how big I think that game last week between Henderson and Pine Tree was, because when you look at the schedule, the way I think it's going to play out is coming down to that game. And unless Henderson can get an upset win over Chapel Hill or Lindale and kind of throw a wrench into everything, but I think they other than what they can do for themselves, obviously, their bed's kind of made here because of that loss to Pine Tree.
It's just interesting the way the schedule has played out, though, because it kind of leaves all those teams are playing each other in some sort of fashion the last couple of weeks.
Just how they drew it up.
I know, exactly. I guess they're just trying for the drama fest. You know, you've got a team like Kilgore sitting at 4-0, but you've seen who they've got. They've got Palestine and Maybank left. They've made it through the meat of their schedule. So they're basically, they've got Palestine, they've got a bye week, and then they've got Maybank. So they've got time. I mean, if you're Coach Fuller, you've got time to rest some guys. Hopefully you've got time to get healthy. I mean, you don't want to see Kilgore in the playoffs.
It's a dangerous team, dude. This is a dangerous Kilgore team. They can go ahead, get early leads in these last couple of games, rest some starters, get, like you said, get healthy, and then come playoff time, you're fresh as a daisy, and you got 6 games to win a title. Like,
yeah. They're in a really good spot, to be in right here. But yeah, I think these are going to be, it's going to be interesting because you've got Chapel Hill has the bye week the last week of the season. So they have to play 2 games and then wait and just see. Cause I don't know that they'll know they could not know what seed they are. I mean, they might, but they could be in a spot where depending on this team wins by this score, it could be all up in the air, especially the Henderson game. Like if Chapel Hill beats Pine Tree, but then Henderson beats Chapel Hill, that puts them in a 3. They've all beat each other. And then you're just looking at scores.
Then if that scenario plays out and Lindell and Henderson play in that final week and Chapel Hill's sitting at home and Lindell beats Henderson because of Henderson's win over Chapel Hill, that could knock Chapel Hill out. How wild would that be? Like that, and I think that's I hate the bye week being the last week of the season. I get it. You get a week off to get healthy for the playoffs, but because of that scenario, you have zero control. You can't play your way in. You have zero control. You just have to sit there and watch and hope other teams win so you can but if you go out there and handle business in those games that you get to play them head up. So if you go out there and handle business, then you don't have to worry about it. So I think that's Coach Reardon's message.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just wild, right? Like there's so many things that could happen. And again, you think you'd love the bye to be able to prep for your opponent, but you really don't know who that opponent's going to be. I mean, even if you do get in, you may not still know where you fall. And so I think that's the crazy thing about that last week bye too. And again, like you said, you don't technically have control, but you had control before that, right? And so I think Chapel Hill's going to go back and look at that Lindale game. And if it happens where they don't make the playoffs, that was really it. And again, it was maybe how they lost, right, as much as anything. But that's your split game there, where maybe your point differential hurts you in the long run. If that comes down to it, that game could be the one, and that'd be tough, And again, somebody good is gonna get left at home.
All right, let's go 4A Division 2. This is District 6, district that Canton is in. They're still undefeated at 7-0 at the top of the district. It's a 3-way tie at the top, so it's kind of top heavy here. You've got Canton, Quinlan Ford, and Sunnyvale with a combined 1 loss in those 3 teams. So they're going to start to sort things out over the next few weeks. You've got Quinlan and Sunnyvale playing this week. And then of course, then Quinlan plays Canton, and then Canton plays Sunnyvale. So it's going to be like obviously these 3 teams are probably in. They're just going to be playing each other for the seeding there. I'm interested to see as someone that, obviously Canton is one of our teams that we follow here in East Texas. And so I'm interested to see kind of where they end up falling in this, because we've talked about all season. How good is Canton? Do we know how good Canton is? We're going to find out in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, you're right. And this district's going to play itself out. Again, the schedule makers in this district knew what they were doing. When you had Canton, an undefeated record, and they should beat Ferris this week, and then going into those final 2 weeks playing the other top 2 teams in that district. So this situation will sort itself all out in between itself, and I hope Coach Regal and the Canton Eagles win that district crown.
All right, slide over to District 7. We just talked about the Big Van Gilmer game this week. We got Pleasant Grove and Van now sit atop of that district at 2-0. That's week 11 game, guys. It'll be Van versus Pleasant Grove there for that district championship, most likely. You got Pleasant Grove has a Gilmer this week, so Pleasant Grove has played the easier games of their district slate so far. They've played North Lamar and Spring Hill, so they've got Gilmer, Pittsburgh, and Van left. Not that we think that they're going to be tested during this. I think that Van game will be interesting. It is in Van, so we'll see. I think Van's going to have to play one of those perfection games and hope Pleasant Grove makes some mistakes, but we'll get to that as we go. But I think we've this is a 16 district. You know, when you got a team at 0-7 and 1-6 at the bottom, I think we've pretty much got our 4 playoff teams. And then, we will see where they end up falling. Looks like Pittsburgh at the moment is looking like the 4th team. They'll get that lucky draw against another team we'll talk about here in a minute. But what you guys think it shapes out any different? I mean, I think it's PG, Van, Gilmer, Pittsburgh in that order to me.
I think Pittsburgh's going to end up being the 3. I don't know. I think Pittsburgh's going to jump up. And again, I could be wrong, but I don't know. Maybe not. But I wouldn't be surprised if they just kind of get on a roll again. Gilmer's got, and again, they've got really their only test left is PG, and then they've got Spring Hill and Paris. So that would be a tough task. But, I don't know. But I think the 4 teams are locked. I think that's going to be the interesting thing. But again, Gilmer did get the win over Pittsburgh, so they do have that advantage. But
yeah, they got to beat Van and have some kind of 3-way scenario, probably, unless they shock us all and beat Pleasant Grove. I think that's how they're going to sit. Okay, you agree with me there? Do you think those are the 4? Well, okay. All right, so that district lines up with this district, which we just saw the district championship most likely play out with Carthage and Athens last week. At the moment, you've got Carthage at the top. You've got Athens, Bullard, Center, and Rusk all at 1-1, and Brownsboro at 0-2. Obviously, we think Athens is probably the second best team. They have Rusk, Center, and Bullard left, so they've got everybody that's got 1 win with them, so they'll be able to take care of business. The Athens Center game has been interesting the last couple of years, but I just don't see it's in Center, but I just don't see Athens having any trouble with Center this year. I think it's Athens' year to get second, and then could look forward to that juicy matchup we talked about earlier. I don't see anything else. Y'all see anybody else getting in there? I mean, we think Bullard's solid 4. I think the way we've seen, they've already beaten Rusk, who's the other team that's got a win, and so I don't see. I mean, they've got Carthage, Brownsboro, and Athens. Unless something weird and they let Brownsboro beat them. I think last year those 3 teams didn't they all beat each other, and we had a weird tie break. I think it's like nobody wanted to play Pleasant Grove, so they all just kept wanting to lose and didn't want to be in that 4th spot or something is what it seemed like. But needless to say, I think that one's pretty locked up as well. Let's see. Let's move over here to this is an interesting district right here. We've talked about this district a little bit. Region 2, District 7 and 3A, Division 1. Commerce at the top of this district with Mount Vernon at 3-0, with Winsboro and Malakoff below. Man, what do you guys think about this one? I mean, this is seating wise. I don't know in this district. I'm not sure. Okay, what do you think here? I mean, you've got, if you thought at the beginning of the season and we were ranking teams, we had Malakoff and Winsboro very high. You'd have a Commerce, Mount Vernon top 2 teams right now in this district. That's not what we saw.
No, I didn't expect this, but I think you got your 4 teams. It's just a matter of where they get seated at, and that Winsboro Mount Vernon game this week is a big win that will go a long way to determining that seeding. But it's been an impressive flip of the district to have Commerce and Mount Vernon up top. Mount Vernon we've seen up there in recent years with the Art Briles and all that, but Commerce kind of came out of nowhere, and they're the kind of the surprise team this year. But all they do is put up a lot of points and win games, so they're somebody to take seriously.
And Commerce to me is a little more impressive right now because of who they've beat on the district slate. They have beaten Winsboro and Malakoff already, along with Mineola. whereas Mount Vernon's kind of got the easier of the schedule to start off, where they've had Mineola, Eustis, and then Rains. So Mount Vernon has got their strength of their schedule ahead of them until they've got a couple of big games against Winsboro and Malakoff before they get to Commerce that week 11 game.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting end to the season in that district.
Moving over to District 8, you got Atlanta and Gladewater right now at top 4-0. They're kind of the teams to beat there. Jefferson, Liberty Islo, Tatum, White Oak, all at 1 and 2, Sabino and 4. Looking right now, Jefferson, Liberty Islo have the advantage of the teams that are 1 and 2, as Jefferson has a win over White Oak, so they have the advantage over them. And then you have Liberty Islo has a victory over Tatum. So, unfortunately for Tatum and White Oak, their wins are over Sabine, which is not really going to help them at the moment. So, Jeremy, what do you think about this district? I'm excited to see Atlanta and Gladewater go at it.
Yeah, that's an exciting game too. I think this one's kind of a puzzling one, because you really do. You got 4 teams at 1 and 2, but it's what is your 1, right, and what is your 2? I think there's still a chance for maybe a White Oak or someone to sneak in there. You know, Tatum's got Atlanta, White Oak, and Jefferson left, right? And so, I mean,
this could be some really good first round matchups too between these two districts. Man, just you talk about, if you're naming off teams: Commerce, Mount Vernon, Winsboro, Malakoff, Atlanta, Gladewater, Jefferson, Liberty Islo. Man,
I think, again, Atlanta's really good, but we've seen Gladewater. I don't know that I'd want to be the team that has to line up across from Gladewater, right? I mean, or even Jefferson, like, you know, they haven't had, you know, we thought they'd be a little bit better off in their ranking, but I don't know that I'd want to play them either.
No, I think that's they're a dangerous possible 3 seed.
Yeah.
You line up against maybe a Jefferson. Then you could have a Jefferson Winsboro game, or a Jefferson Mount Vernon round 1. I mean, I think, and we were talking about earlier in the season, you know, one of those 2 teams maybe going to the state finals. I think KO said Westwood. Is he Westwood and Jefferson? I think that KO said. I think that he was talking about. But I just, man, that could be some really good round 1 matchups there. And speaking of Westwood, we'll move down to District 9. Westwood and Fairfield are the top. They're both 7-0. That game coming up here in a few weeks on Halloween night. That will be a game probably for that district championship, as Westwood took a little bit of a scare from Diboll. We mentioned that earlier, and so they got to get focused if they've got that Fairfield team coming in a few weeks to knock them off.
Fairfield got the schedule left, right? I mean, they've got Westwood and Crockett, and then Diboll, who hung with, right? So Fairfield has the tougher schedule. They've got Diboll, Westwood, Crockett, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're Westwood, you're going to finish out with Teague, Fairfield, Huntington. So, I mean, you at worst, you probably go 2-1 in that, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think it'll be interesting. Fairfield's going to have to, you know, hang with a Diboll team that probably built up a lot of the confidence with how well they hung with Westwood. And so.
Well, and you move to in 3A Division 2, District 9, you've got the Edgewood, Lone Oak, Grand Saline district. Those 3 teams are at the top there, with Harmony, Prairie Land at 1 and 2, Paris Chisholm 1 and 3, and Quibbin 0 and 4. But Edgewood and Lone Oak here in a few weeks. That'll be the last week of the season. Will be an incredible game. Lone Oak still has Grand Saline on their slate this week, so that game will be interesting to see how that matches up. Those 3 teams are just fighting to see where they're going to be slotted in the playoffs. I think I don't see any other teams out of that district competing for those top 3, and then you've got, you know, somebody's got to get in that 4 spot.
And you got Lone Oak and Edgewood to finish the season in that last week. That's going to be a good one. I've seen Lone Oak, and they're a fast team. They've got speed and skill, and I mean, you know, and so I think, again, all 3 these 3 teams at the top, I think, are probably a lock. I think it'll be interesting to see what's the 4th team that comes out of that, right?
Well, the 4th team doesn't want to play the team across the way, as Dangerfield looks to be the solid number 1 seed. out of that district right now at 4-0. They are now 5-3 on the season.
That's
With
crazy.
5 straight wins as Dangerfield has kind of taken over. They beat Hooks in a shootout. So you got DeKalb at 3-1, Hooks at 2-1, New Boston at 2-1, and then Hughes Springs 1-2, Redwater 0-4, and Queen City 0-4, or Redwater 0-3, Queen City 0-4.
Yeah, and those last 2 teams don't have a win all season. So
no, it looks like probably New Boston is your 4th spot with DeKalb, Hooks, and them. I don't know a team that wants to face off against Dangerfield right now. We just mentioned, Kyle, they had 5 in a row wins. So whoever that team out of District 9 is, Harmony or Prairieland, they are probably going to get a Dangerfield team that's going to be putting up major points.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough matchup for them.
This district matchups will be tough because then you've got – so we just talked about some really good matchups round 1. I mean, you could have a Lone Oak Hooks, a Grand Saline Hooks. Like some of these matchups round 1 are just crazy that we could already see those. Speaking of a district, we just covered this district. We have Troop at the top at 4-0, West Rusk at 3-0. They meet this week, so that'll be a interesting battle to see who can take control of the district. Art sitting at 2-1, Buffalo 2-1, New Diana 1-2. Elkhart 0-4, and Winona 0-4. Now, I think New Diana is kind of skewed there as they've lost to West Rusk and Troop. They did beat Winona. They've got some games on the schedule that are winnable. I think they're probably the 4th team, but I think it's ended up being with them in Buffalo as they play this week. And so whoever wins that game will probably end up with that 4th spot.
Buffalo's got to finish with West Rusk and Troop, though.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, they've got a tough finish. I mean,
yeah. If they were able to beat
that New Diana game's the easiest of their 3 left, and so
yeah. Well, New Diana also still has ARP on their schedule too.
Yeah.
So if they lost to Buffalo and then they'd have to beat ARP, that would be a tough.
Yeah.
That would be a tough ask. So
Buffalo only lost to ARP by 13.
Yeah.
I don't think Buffalo's a terrible team. I think New Diana should be the 4, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion, no pun intended, because Buffalo,
I like that.
Yeah, Buffalo, this game this week, I think, is an elimination game. I think the loser of this Buffalo New Diana game is probably going to be missing out on the playoffs.
Elimination games should be a good one. Okay, let's move over to 2A now in Division 1, Region 2. This is a district that's got the Indians on top. Carlisle and Frankston tied at the top at 2-0. You got Mildred at 1-1, Kearns at 1-1, Cayuga at 0-2, and Crossroads at 0-2. Now, those aren't equal 0-2s. Cayuga has lost to Mildred and Carlisle by a combined 3 touchdowns, which, I mean, it sounds like a lot, but it's 2 close games. We have what we call that, Kyle, a get right game. They have that this week with Crossroads. So they'll get a chance to get right there. But this district, man, I still don't know. I think the wild card for me right now is the Kearns Bobcats. They're sitting at 1-1. They beat Crossroads. They lost to Frankston. How are these teams competing against Kearns going down the stretch? They've got Mildred this week, so that'll be interesting to see where they measure up. I still don't know. These 5 teams are close. Carlisle has played Cayuga and Crossroads, which they both haven't won a district game. So I think there's a lot still to be determined in this district. I don't know that I could tell you. I think Frankston is the first. I think they're the best team just by what I've seen. But these other 4, I don't really know yet. We'll find a lot about Carlisle this week, I think, to see how they play against Frankston. What do you think, Kyle?
I think Frankston's the best team for sure. As far as the others, I mean, just because I know Coach McGee and I like Coach McGee, I'm going to say that they pick up that 4th spot in the district. It's tough. They got Crossroads this week, which they should handle pretty easily, but then you got Kearns that following week. Like, I think that Kearns and Cayuga game could be, depending on obviously what happens this week with Mildred and Kearns, but let's say Mildred wins that game, then I think that Kearns Cayuga game comes down to an elimination game, and I'm going to ride with the Wildcats there. But yeah, I think 2, 3, and 4 spots, Carlisle, I mean, they still got all the heavy hitters remaining on their schedule. So I don't know. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough road for any of them. But I think Frankston's the clear number one.
I think that's what we can all agree at the moment right now. What we've seen, just what they've done in front of them, every week, and it's hard to judge Carlisle because they did have the injuries there that kind of got them in the middle of the year. That hopefully they've recovered. I know Ibarra's back, and so that's helped them a lot. So it'll be interesting to see if them healthy, how they look against Frankston. I'm excited to be able to do that game this week. It's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go over to District 9 now, moving down to Region 3. This one's more to see who they're going to play. We've kind of touched at Honeygrove to the top. Then we have Cooper, Paul Pewitt, Rivercrest. The reason why I mention this one is because we have District 10, which we do cover a lot of, would match up with them first round. This district still in all kinds of turmoil after Beckville. All of a sudden, they found something. They started the season at 1-2, and now they've 3-1 in district play. You've got Legion Fields at 4-0. You got Wascom 3-1, Harleton 2-2, and Union Grove 2-2. Now they play each other this week. Harleton and Union Grove. That game right there could be a game to get in the playoffs. If you lose that game, it's going to be tough sledding for either team. Hawkins has a big game. That's where I'll be on Thursday against Beckville. They're in trouble right now. They've got to get that win. If they've got Big Sandy the next week, that they could win that game, and Wascom also. So they're at a win every game at this point now. So do you guys? I mean, I don't know. Do y'all think that the Halton Union Grove is probably your fourth spot person, or do y'all think anybody else got a chance to sneak in from down there?
I mean, I think Hawkins is the only one that has a shot, but a lot of things have to go right for them, right? I mean, like, they have a chance. They'd have to beat Beckville. That's going to be a tall task, right? Based on what Beckville's kind of, they're kind of like what Dangerfield. Like early on in the year, we were a little bit worried, and then they've kind of come back around a little bit. And so, I mean, I think, but again, Hawkins has to. I mean, they've got Beckville and Big Sandy, which should be a win for them, but then they got to play Wascom, and which Wascom are you going to get?
Yeah.
The Wascom that we saw earlier, the Wascom that gave up a shocker, to I guess they lost to Beckville. That was kind of a surprise. We didn't see that one, and so it's there. But I think the winner of that Union Grove Halton's in the driver's seat for number 4.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be. I think Elysian Fields obviously is number 1, and then Beckville holds their fate in their own hands. I mean, if they just win out, they get the 2 seed. Thanks to that win over Wascom. I think Wascom's the 3rd best team in that district. Maybe I'm not sold on it anymore after the Beckville loss, but I think they are. But they got a couple of tough ones left on their schedule. Yeah, I mean, essentially, this Harleton Union Grove game is winning you're in type game, unless one of these teams, unless Union Grove can upset Beckville the following week, or if Harleton can upset Elysian Fields in the final week, then maybe they can find themselves in. But I don't see those happening. So yeah, I think this game, Harleton and Union Grove, is a elimination game again.
All right, District 11. Man, I don't know. We talked about, is it going to be a team that gets out of this district undefeated? And right now you got one left through 2 games, and that is the San Augustine Wolves, as they are 2-0, and it's 2 big wins against Joaquin and Garrison. And so they've got Shelbyville, Hemphill, and Timpson left. I think the main question is who's going to be left out? I mean, I know we've got Hemphill that 2-6 and 0-2. They're struggling this season, but of these 5 teams, who's going to be left out? We had San Augustine kind of as that odd man out, right? Well, they said, forget y'all. We're going to be the odd man in, and they're in the driver's seat right now at 2-0. Every game.
I think Timpson's in trouble. They got to finish with Joaquin, Garrison, and San Augustine. That's their last 3.
It's trouble, but is it? I mean, you still can play your way right. I mean, you can play your way out or play your way in. You just have to come out and win every week. I don't think it's just you can, I mean, you look at that and you could see them, they win those last 3 games, you know, they're 4-1 in district and they're probably the 2nd seed. So, I mean, anybody's still, I think it's still left on play. I think St. Augustine got the 2 wins first, obviously, and they've got Hemp Hill still. So they're in the driver's seat as far as at the moment.
And so does Garrison, Joaquin, and Shelbyville. I think they all have Hemp Hill left, excuse me. So Garrison, Joaquin, and Shelbyville all have to play Hemp Hill, where Timpson's already been there.
Yeah.
So I think that's where Timpson's in the hard spot just because of that. They don't have the 0-2 team left. They've already played and beaten them. And so they don't, I mean, again, it's not a gimme, but I think Timpson's got the longest road to make the 4.
It's too muddy to call. Ask me again in a week or 2. It's way too muddy to call right
like
now.
One of those, what are those muddy hogs all in a pen and they're all like, rolling in the mud? And
I can't tell it. Put all of them in a spinner and see who pops out, and that's who's in the playoffs. It's way too muddy right now.
It's crazy. All right, so we'll look at the district that they would line up against is the Corrigan-Camden district. They're at 2-0 with Leon, Centerville, Groveton, Hearn, and Normandy. A little bit out of our range, but that's who they would line up against. So I feel bad for that district that has to play this district. I don't think any of those guys want to see any of those teams in round 1. So we got 2A now. Just to throw this out, we've got a heavy hitters in our 2A Division 2 district, man. I'm excited for a game this week, and we'll talk about it a little later, but you've got Lovelady and Mount Enterprise at 7-0, 3-0 in district play. You got Grapeland at 5-3 and 3-1, and you got Alto at 2-2, Overton at 1-2. Those are your 5 teams for 4 spots. I think Overton's the 4th team. We'll find out this week as they will travel to Alto and play what will be a play-in game, most likely, for that 4th spot. Now, Overton still has Mount Enterprise and Cushing on their schedule, so we'll also be seeing them against Mount Enterprise here in a few weeks. But I think that Alto Overton game, which I think Overton should win if they go down there and take care of business. But this is another one of those that's top 3. I mean, I think there's those 2, whoever wins obviously this week, I think is going to be number 1, and I think Grapeland's 3. But I still don't know what I'm picking another game. I'm on the fence. I think I know I want to pick 4, but I don't know. But this district is another one is a very tough district, and I would not want to be District 12. I think District 12 could lose every game to this district. I think this district is that deep. You guys disagree with what I said about this one? What do you think?
I think Overton's probably got a better shot. Alto's got Overton, and then they've got to play Mount Enterprise to finish. They just got 2 games left, so 2 tough ones. Overton still has Alto, and then Mount Enterprise, and then they finish with Cushing, like you said. And so I think Overton's got a better shot. Again, this game's going to tell us, right? But Alto's got a tough kind of 1-2 finish there, and it's been a fun district. I mean, it's crazy to think that Lovelady and Mount Enterprise are going to play. They're both undefeated. Both have the same record in district. Like that's a game that I don't want to pick, and I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be in the pick'em. I have this just eerie feeling that I'm going to look in a minute and go, "Oh yeah, crap, it's on there." It's probably going to be the first or the second one on there too. I'm sure. With that laugh, I'm guaranteed I'm right.
I think it's the winner of this Overton Alto game is in, and then 11 sweeps 12 in the first round. I don't see any of those 12 2A teams beating any of 11 2A.
All right. Just so we don't miss the private schools, you've got Regents 4-0, Hyde Park 3-0, Grace Prep 2-2, Brook Hill 2-2, and then Grace at 1-2, Brentwood Christian 0-3, and Bishop Dunn 0-3. Brook Hill with a big win over Grace Prep this week, so they're tied with them. In essence, have that tiebreaker. Most likely they will finish in that 3rd spot, and then we'll see. I think Grace still has Grace Prep left, so Grace could possibly still try to work their way in that playoff spot. But a third spot for our guard right now at the moment. So, and then you drove
Brookville has the 2 teams in the bottom left, right?
Yeah.
They've got they've got Brentwood and Bishop done, and so I mean they've got the easier road.
Yeah,
as far as finishing goes.
Yeah, and then you got All Saints sits atop at 2-0 in district. Unfortunately they've got Dallas Christian in their district, and Dallas Christian is pretty good, as you guys know. They're also at 2-0. So, and then they got I guess Gorman is down at 0-2. So, good season for All Saints at 5-2 and 2-0. Being in a district with Dallas Christian is never a good thing. Found that out covering Brook Hill a few years ago. Dallas Christian in football, they're kind of like the regents of the district. You know they're going to come out and have a great team. All right, let's look at the polls, fellas. Everyone's been waiting for the polls. So this week's poll for me in the big school, I didn't have a lot of change in mine. I did drop a team out and added a team in this week, but for the most part, not a lot of shifting. Now, I did say earlier I had a shift, and I'll tell you about that, where they fell in a minute. We're going to start from the bottom, 15 to 11. You guys ready? All right. We got Pine Tree into the poll at number 15. Nacogdoches moves up a spot to 14. Canton up to 13. Van stays at 12. Marshall at – hold on. Never mind. I'm reading the wrong one. My bad. Let me start that over. That was mine. I
was about to say that sounds a lot like mine.
Well, hey, if it sounds like yours, then maybe I feel good about myself, KO. All right, I'll start over. Which this one's shocking. That I'm surprised they stayed in. In the actual poll, Henderson is at 15, Nacogdoches 14, Van 13, Chapel Hill 12, Marshall 11. I'm a little surprised that Henderson stayed in the poll and Pine Tree didn't get it. I took Henderson out and put Pine Tree in, as I mentioned a second ago. That was mine. So I had Pine Tree, Nacogdoches, Canton, Van, Marshall as my bottom 5. KO, what'd you have?
I took Henderson out as well. And because I took Henderson out, I put Pine Tree in. Pine Tree at 15. I also introduced I don't think I had them in last week. So I introduced Nac to my poll this week. Moved them up to 14. Then I got Van at 13, Canton at 12, and Chapel Hill at 11.
Okay, Jeremy, how's your bottom 5 shake out?
Yeah, so I had last week I had Henderson at 10. I moved them down to 15. I didn't take them out completely, so I might be the reason. I moved Nac up to 14, Van up to 13, Marshall to 12, and Canton at 11.
Okay. All right, 10 through 6. Lufkin at 10. We have a tie for 9th, which this is weird to me, just saying that they're tied. Well, actually, tied for 8th, technically. Canton and Longview tied at 8. Athens at 7, and Sulphur Springs at 6. So I
have a question.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kyle.
Well, never mind. I'll wait till the rest of the 5 are announced. Never mind. Proceed.
Okay. You've got, for me, I had at 10, I had Lufkin, 9, Longview, 8, Chapel Hill. 7 was Athens. Now, I moved Athens up. I mentioned this earlier, from 10 to 7. And here's why. Okay, so they have only lost 2 games, and they had an impressive outing against number 1 Carthage. Okay, they played them a lot closer than Chapel Hill, so I moved them above them, and I also moved them above Longview and Lufkin, who've been kind of inconsistent. Athens has been good all year, and they played well against Carthage, so I rewarded them and moved them up. I know it's weird. Go ahead, Kyle. Go ahead. You can tell me.
You lied earlier. You said you didn't move them over any teams that won, and you moved them over Chapel Hill, Longview, and Lufkin, who all won.
I didn't. I did. I didn't. I didn't. You know, I looked at them and I said, I got to put them where I think they should be, right? And that was as impressive as a win would have been. That the fact that they put 55, 56 points against Carthage and they were with them.
They still lost.
They did lose. But
and the other teams won.
I think that showed me more about Athens than it did about Carthage. It showed me that Athens should be higher in my poll. They should have been higher up, and if they lost, they would have been lower. So I corrected my mistake. I said, I'm sorry, Coach Harrell. I'm going to move you up. And I think they're a higher team. Now, there's some flaws in the teams that I've just mentioned already. And so I didn't think that there was any reason why I couldn't move Athens above them. Now they hadn't lost, they didn't lose this week, but they've had several losses. So that was my logic there. Jeremy, give me your middle 5.
Yeah, I had Chapel Hill went from 11 to 10, Sulphur stayed at 9, Lufkin at 8, Athens went from 6 to 7, and then that moved Longview from 7 to 6.
Okay.
So I did penalize Athens 1 spot for losing, but I didn't hammer them because it was close.
But you had them higher. That was my thinking. Yeah. They should have been higher to me. And so what I saw they should be higher. So that's why I rewarded them. KO, you go ahead.
I had Marshall at 10. That's where I had them last week. I have Athens at 9. I had them at 5th. I dropped them 4 spots to 9. I have Lindale at 8. I had them at 4th last week. I dropped them 4 spots to 8. I moved Sulphur up from 9th to 7th, and Texas High is now sitting at 6th from 8th in my poll.
Okay. Well, the makes me feel better is we kind of have Athens in the similar area, though. Even I had them too low. Jeremy had them high. Now you had them kind of, so we're all kind of in the same area. So, all right. Let's start with our top 5 here. Let's go. We've got Lindale at 5, Texas High at 4, Pleasant Grove at 3, Kilgore 2, Carthage 1. Let's see. I had Lindale 5, Pleasant Grove 4, Texas High 3, Kilgore 2, Carthage 1. So I had all 5 teams, just in a little different order. Kyle?
Jeremy had a bullseye.
He did?
Yeah. I saw him do his little. So that was going to be my question. That's why I stopped you earlier, because I didn't hear Lindale and I didn't think they would still be top 5. So that's where I was like, wait, if they didn't fall in that middle 6, did they drop out completely? So I freaked out for a second. But
yeah, I moved Lindale from 3 to 5 in my poll.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't punish them. They played a really good Kilgore team. I didn't punish them for losing.
Sure. So I had Lufkin at 5, up from 7th, Longview at 4, up from 6th, and then PG, Kilgore, and Carthage. And I feel really, really good about my top 2.
Yeah. I think we all feel pretty good about the top 2. Did anybody not? Let's see. I don't. No way anybody didn't have them as their top 2. I mean, I just don't see how. I think that was. Let's see. Yeah, I think everybody's got Kilgore at 2 and Carthage at 1. I think that's a consensus across the board. That's something else.
And my slide to Lindale, I couldn't justify putting Lindale behind Longview, and I had Longview sitting right. I moved Athens back behind Longview, and even that was hard to do just because, Athens did lose, but man, they lost to a really good team. But I had to move them. I had to kick them a little bit. That's why I didn't kick them as far. But I couldn't slide Lindale behind Longview. I mean, Longview had a get right game against Legacy a little bit there, but they just haven't been the same Longview, and so that was part of why I had it. But yeah, I think this is the second, maybe third week in a row I've had the big 5, the top 5 right now. I haven't picked winners worth of crap, but at least I can rank a top 5.
Well, hey, I'm gonna say it again. I have the Lindale Eagles higher than KO does, so I'm just saying, Lindale can't ever shoot me any shade here. I'm although KO was at the game.
I have Kilgore higher than Lindale, and Kilgore still doesn't like me. So,
well,
there we go.
They're watching KO. That's all we care about, right? They're watching. You gave them great bulletin board material. They probably had your face up on their bulletin board.
Apparently, and that's not what my intention was.
Well, hopefully they watched tonight and they saw that you again reiterated your Division 1 4A championship pick.
They won't.
Okay. Well, maybe. Okay. The always interesting 3A, 2A taps poll. It's always got some intrigue in this one. Before we go there, is there anybody that you guys, I mean, I know it's not as many teams. Is there anybody that have your eye on that's not in the top 15 that you're like, maybe I need to keep an eye on? I don't really have, there's not really, I mean, Pine Tree jumped back in. I mean, I guess Henderson, if they were to run off a couple more wins, that maybe knock off some teams in this top 15, but I just don't know.
I didn't have Pine Tree in, and then I think Pittsburgh could get back in with a couple of wins. I think those are the two that I might be looking at again. And that was the thing. It was like when when I moved Henderson down, I wasn't quite ready to put Pine Tree in there, even though they did beat Henderson just because of the record. But again, if Pine Tree rolls off another win, then I have no problem bumping them in and bumping the team they beat out. It just for me, it was just too far to slide to go from 10 to out, just in that case. But I wouldn't. I think it would have been justifiable either way to bump into 15 or to put them out. I just wasn't quite ready to throw Pittsburgh or Pine Tree in there, just record wise, and so that was why I didn't.
Okay. Anybody for UKO? No, you got your 15 solid. Okay. All right, let's look at this small school poll. Start from the bottom. Number 15, we got Grand Saline. At 14, we got Wascom. 13, we got Honey Grove. 12, Edgewood. 11, West Rusk. My bottom 5 here. I brought
is it West Rusk or New London West Rusk?
It is West Rusk. It is West Rusk. I have Lone Oak as my 15. I brought them into my poll. They've been impressive. I know they're on the edge of our area, but they've just been so impressive. I included them in the poll. I have Jefferson at 14. I have Edgewood at 13. Dangerfield is moved up. They're climbing up in the poll. They're now at 12. And West Rusk is at 11. All right. Go ahead, Jeremy. Who you got here?
All right. I did not have them in my poll before, so I'll admit it. I moved St. Augustine into 15. I've got Grand Saline at 14, Edgewood at 13, Wascom at 12, and Atlanta at 11.
Okay. KO.
I have West Rusk in my poll because I said I didn't have them last week, and so I moved them in this week. I have Grapeland up at 14 from 15. I have Jefferson up at 13 from 14. Grand Saline at 12 from 13. And Edgewood at 11 up from 12.
Okay. Top 10. Start with 10. We got Atlanta at 10. Gladewater at 9. ARP at 8. We got a tie at 6th for the Legion Fields and Mount Enterprise. We've got so that's their top actually there. So that's a strong top 5. I had not top 5. That's a strong 5. That's 10 through 6. Sorry. I had Gladewater at 10, ARP at 9, Atlanta 8, Legion Fields 7, Mount Enterprise 6. So I think I had that same grouping of teams. They're in a little different order, but the same grouping there. What'd you have, KO?
I moved Wascom up from 11th to 10th. I forget who I had in the 10th spot, but apparently they lost and I moved them out. But then my top 9, spoiler, stayed the same. So I got ARP at 9, Elysian Fields at 8, Gladewater at 7, and Winsboro is my 6th team.
Okay. Jeremy?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly where I had them before, but I moved Garrison out of my poll. I've got West Rusk at 10, Gladewater at 9, Elysian Fields at 8, ARP at 7, and then Mount Enterprise at 6.
That's who it was. Garrison, I moved them out.
I think that's who I moved out and put Lone Oak in on mine too. Okay, top 5. Winsboro at 5, Frankston at 4, Lovelady at 3, Troop at 2, and Westwood at 1. Jeremy, did you nail it again?
I nailed it. 5 for 5, baby. 5 for 5.
Did it because it never changes, does it?
Let's do it.
I was 4 for 5.
I was 4 for 5 as well. I had Frankston at 5, Winsboro at 4, Lovelady 3, Troop 2, Westwood 1.
And after watching Troop and then seeing the Westwood score, I did hesitate for a minute. I almost bumped Troop to number 1, but I felt like, man, it would just be hard to justify after what I've said all year. Like you win and you move down would be tough, But I was really, really impressed by Troop. I mean, they were, like I said, all facets of the game. They were outstanding, and so, but I did keep my 5 the same and hit 5 for 5 again. So again, don't listen to my pick'ems and trust my poll.
Yeah, I just had Winsboro and Mount Enterprise flipped. I have Mount Enterprise at 5 instead of Winsboro, so that's the only one I had off.
Looking down here at the bottom, I saw, Jeremy had St. Augustine. It's a team definitely that I'll be watching out for, depending on how they do in this district. If they keep knocking off some of these teams, may not be able to avoid putting them in. I think I think for me and a team that I had in my poll that I think should be in is Dangerfield now. Dangerfield has been impressive. They've ran off 5 straight wins, and they're just putting up ungodly points on people. And so I think they're a team, once they've started playing their level of competition as far as their classification, they're gonna be tough. You've got let's see, is there anybody else down there? I know like I have Jefferson at the bottom. I think they're going to continue to rise as they continue to go through the district play. I think they've got the games in front of them that they can win, so I think they'll continue to rise. Anybody you've got your eyes on down there, KO, that's on your edges you want to keep an eye on?
I don't have Atlanta in mind. I guess Atlanta's one I need to probably keep an eye on and put in there. But if Gladewater does what they're supposed to do and beats Atlanta, then I don't have to worry about it, and I can just keep them out. So, but no, I think Atlanta's the only one I really haven't. I mean, I got my eye on Beckville. You know, Beckville's they've turned things around. They're rolling right now. St. Augustine's another good one to keep an eye on. Really anybody in that 11-2A D1 district, honestly, keep an eye on that. And, but yeah, Overton could possibly be, sneaking in there too with their losses to Mount Enterprise and or not. Have they? They haven't lost to Mount Enterprise yet. Have they? Grapeland and Lovelady. I mean, so they could easily be in there too. So I mean, there's a lot of good 2A teams, I think, to keep your eye on and keep looking at that could win their way in.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think this is the crazy part, right? Like we can confidently say 3A, 2A down. I mean, there's a lot of good teams, and I think those bottom 5 are going to continue to shuffle as the year kind of finishes itself out based on these head-to-heads, and there are more quality teams overall in this grouping than there really are 4A, 5A, 6A. There's just not as it's just a smaller grouping in that upper group versus this group where there's so many that could be there, and there are teams that we had in early that aren't in there anymore and could make their way back in. And so I'm excited to see, again, as these last few weeks shake out, what happens and go from there.
All right. Well, that's our polls for the week. Y'all ready to pick some games?
No.
He's like, no, we're not. Don't worry, there's no pressure. Jaren's not in here.
I think my internet is glitching out, guys. I don't know what's happening here.
Jaren's watching your picks right now, and he's okay. I'm gonna go against him here. I'm gonna go against him here. Yeah, we know that's how he's trying to get ahead of us now. We've definitely determined that. So he's got to show up on the show, or he gets negative points. He loses points. This week was interesting. I scoured around trying to find the best games. I didn't have a problem, but there was too many. I had a couple I had to knock out, but there's some really good matchups this week. And I be honest, I've looked at them, but I really haven't decided on a lot of these games yet. There's too many good ones. We're going to start with game 1, Kearns and Corsicana Mildred, guys. An important game in this district. Both teams at 5-2. Man, this one's going to be tough. We're going to send this one to our pick expert, Jeremy Diamond, to go first.
You guys, you're the worst. All right. I just took a quick peek. Corsicana Mildred, Kearns, both have played a common opponent. Their common opponent was Frankston. Corsicana Mildred, it was 32-6, I believe. And then Kearns was 34-12, I think is the score. And so based on that and my infinite wisdom that has not been very wise lately, I'm going to take Kearns. Give me the Kearns.
The Kearns
over Corsicana Mildred. They're close. That's give me the Kearns.
The Kearns.
I could have said give me the Karens because I would have said that before because I wouldn't have known any better. So give me Kearns and the Bobcats.
KO, do you agree with him?
I'm going to be completely honest with you and transparent here. It's my first time utilizing the full access of the NETSN website, and it's very helpful here. I see that.
How much does that cost to get on that fancy website?
Free. It was $0.
Okay.
$0 is what it cost.
We just actually added the new district standings tab to the website. That's
what I'm utilizing right now. And in my research that I did here, I noticed that Kearns is 3-0 on the road, right? Oh. So this game is on the road at Mildred. And since this is such a toss-up, I'm taking Kearns with their undefeated record on the road because Mildred has lost one at home this season. So give me the Kearns
every viewer
Bobcats.
under the age of 20 just got excited because you did this.
I know.
And so there's
I
a
did
bunch
that
of
on
kids
purpose,
yelling
Jeremy.
6-7 right now.
I did that on purpose.
Yeah, I'm with
And
you guys.
as a teacher of high schoolers, it makes my skin crawl because it happens every day about 3,700 times.
You're welcome.
Thanks
I'm with you guys.
remembering.
I looked through this. I didn't look at the on the road stat. That's a great stat, KO, for those at home. I was looking at with Jeremy. I was looking at the points, and it's hard. You just don't know. I think this one, though, the winner of this game is going to have a really big driver's seat advantage coming down the stretch. And I'm looking at the two teams, and I got to see the Frankston game. It was on NETSN against Mildred, and I've seen them play, and I didn't see a whole lot. I know Frankston's really good, and so if they were able to, if Kearns was able to do a little bit more against Frankston, that to me that says a whole lot. So I'm going to go with the Kearns Bobcats as well.
I do have one more insider trader information I can give you.
Okay.
I know someone that knows a coach on the Corsicana Mildred team, and they have a lot of injuries this year that they've been dealing with.
I think I might know that coach. Is it a coach that we used to cover in this area?
No. You don't know this person. This person is from West Texas.
Oh, okay.
But told my friend that, quote, we're not very good. So because of that, give me Kearns.
So, Jaron, you can take Mildred to gain a game. There you go.
Right.
There you
And
go.
slide back behind in your rightful place.
Game 2, the Battle of the Indians, the Carlisle Indians and the Frankston Indians. And this game will be in Frankston. I will be there. Jeremy and I will be there live on NETSN for this one. Excited to travel over to Frankston and cover this game. Get to see the Frankston Indians and the Carlisle Indians for the first time in person this season. We did do the Carlisle scrimmage, but that was a way long time ago. So we hadn't gotten to see them yet. And I know we cover Carlisle, love Coach Baker and we've got going on, but man, traveling over to Frankston is just so good right now. I'm going to take the Frankston Indians in this one, Coach Gold. I'm going to take them to get the win this week. KO.
This one's pretty easy for me. I said earlier, Frankston's the class of this district. That would mean they have to keep winning. So give me Frankston. Love Coach Baker, and I think what he's doing in Carlisle is great. But this is I don't think this is the upset that he's going to get. So give me Frankston. All
right, Jeremy.
Give me Frankston. Again, I think Coach Baker's done a great job, but it's hard to pick against a 7-0 team that's done what they've done. They've been battle tested and they've won. They've come out on top every time, and so until they lose, I'm not taking anything away. And again, I think it's going to be a great battle. Indians versus Indians, right? Blue versus blue, like you got gold and white or gold and silver, right? Or your differences are gold and white, and so I think it's going to be an awesome matchup. I'm excited to be on the call with Brett for that one. Like I have had this one penciled for a while. Like, ooh, I can't wait, and so glad it's finally here. But again, I think Frankston gets the job done. But I think that Carlisle is going to keep it competitive.
Okay. Game 3, Mount Vernon and Winnsboro. Ooh, what a game! KO, we're going to throw it to you first on this one. What are you thinking here? You got some good research on this, I'm sure.
Well, yes, absolutely. Looking at things right now as they stand, both teams 3-0 in district. Obviously, Mount Vernon with a 5-2 overall record. Winnsboro a 7-1. Now, this game is at home. For Winnsboro. It's a 3-1 record the Red Raiders have at home. Mount Vernon a 2-1 record on the road. So that stat will not help you in this case. So you got to dig a little deeper if you're going to make a pick in this game. And so when you dig a little deeper, both teams have fantastic running backs. You got Witherspoon over in Mount Vernon. Dave Campbell's did a great article about him a couple weeks ago. Then you got Castleberry over in Winnsboro. Battle of two great offenses here. I think it comes down to who can make a stop defensively. And if I'm being honest, I've been more impressed with Mount Vernon's defense this year than Winnsboro's defense. It seems like Winnsboro has had to rely on scoring more often, where Mount Vernon, I mean, when you look at the one loss that both of Mount Vernon's losses are, I don't want to say impressive, but they're good losses. When you look at the Pottsboro and the Atlanta game, and they were competitive in both those games. That Winsboro loss to Commerce is still a head scratcher. I'm still not sure exactly what happened in that game. I do know Castleberry was out that game, though. So if he's that big of a difference, then I think having him back helps. I said a bunch of words there and said nothing at the same time. So Winsboro recently has had the tradition of winning these district games like this. I got to see it from Mount Vernon before I can pick it. So because of that, I'm going to take Winsboro on this one. I think it's tight, though. I think it's a tight contest. It's a rivalry game. These teams separated by 10, 15 miles. Like they don't like each other. But I think Winsboro, I'm still going to give the edge to Winsboro, but I could see it going either way.
Okay. Jeremy, did you get all that?
Yeah, I'm not sure who Kyle picked now. I think Kyle's a master at this. Like, he's leading you down the Mount Vernon road, and then all of a sudden he takes a right, and he's like, Winsboro, JK, LOL. Right? Like, he's the guy that, like, you know, he's the I'm going to call him the brawn breaker here. He betrays one side for another here. No, I thought for sure he was going Mount Vernon. I was like, okay, I'm going Winsboro, so cool. And then he says Winsboro, and I'm like, crap. You know, like I was hoping to get the edge here, but I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm not 100% certain either which way it's going to go, but I'm gonna lean on Winsboro. And again, Winsboro's only losses to Commerce, who's undefeated in district and has a really good record as well. And so I'm going to go there. That's going to be, yeah. Again, I wouldn't be shocked though if the game went the other way. Like, it wouldn't be one of those like I didn't see this coming. But I'm going to take Winsboro at home.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm looking at common opponents. They have one common opponent, and that is Mineola Yellow Jackets. Mount Vernon beat Mineola 57-20. I believe that's a 37-point spread. Winsboro beat Mineola 47-30, which is a 17-point spread. So that right there makes me, even though Winsboro's been so good recently, it's like that's another thing that makes me scratch my head. Like, okay, so that's a 20-point difference beating a team. Like, it's hard because, you know, and then you've got Winsboro, they've lost and given up. You mentioned it, KO. They've given up a lot of points. They gave up 28 points to a Tatum team, which that was the first week of the season. We saw them a few weeks later, and they did not look good on offense. They've given up some. I mean, obviously hooks. They don't play defense in hooks, so that was not surprising because of the Dangerfield score, 42-35. But then the Commerce 51 points, and then they gave up 30 to Mineola. Eustis and Rain, they give up 21 to Rain. Now those could have been garbage points, but I don't know. You know, I'm gonna go with Mount Vernon, man. They've just looked good this year, and I think this is one that is definitely a toss-up, but Winsboro's had some troubles stopping folks. And so Mount Vernon, I look at them and they have a shutout. Now that was against Eustis. They also give up 19 to Rains, but they've given up less points overall this year. And they've played, I think their schedule's been
also lost twice.
They have, but to an Atlanta team who's a very good Atlanta team. And honestly, Pottsboro is always a really good team. So I don't really count that against them. I mean, obviously, you know, Winsboro's loss to Commerce, we're still trying to figure out. We think Commerce is really good, but then you look at Commerce and they lost to Edgewood in week 1. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I think this could go either way.
You talking is swaying me because I'm thinking I'm sitting here thinking of that Tatum game because I was at that Tatum game too, and Tatum was able to run the football. And what does Mount Vernon do really well? They run the football. They have a stud running back, one of the top running backs in the state. Oh.
I don't know.
Man.
Switch it. I'll make up ground on both of you. Switch it.
And see, that's the thing. If I keep Winsboro and Winsboro wins, I gain a game on Brett, who's in front of me.
That's true. Just saying.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, you do.
I don't think it's Hail Mary time yet. I don't think I need to start switching picks to go against Brett here. I think I still got plenty of time if I just pick my games. But I'm literally going through this in my head. Like, I don't know if I don't want to. I could see myself picking Winsboro, staying and picking Winsboro, and Winsboro winning and being like, yep, knew it. And then I could see myself having Mount Vernon win and being like, why didn't I pick Mount Vernon? Like, I knew that. Like, I can see it both ways, and I don't want that regret on my conscience. Okay, I'm gonna keep it for now. I may come back to it.
For now.
I'm gonna keep it for now. I'm not sold.
He's gonna wait to. He's not
Jared,
gonna announce it, so Jared
watch
can't
this
tell.
clip. It's not Brett that's swaying here. It's Kyle.
I am not sold on. I am so close to changing my pick to Mount Vernon. I mean, I am just. You know what? Never mind. Proceed.
Okay. All right. Well, just let us know if you get that premonition back before we end the show, KO. All right. So game 4, you've got Nacogdoches and Marshall in a huge matchup. A big one for Nacogdoches. KO, we're gonna let you go first because this is the
Red Zone Game of the Week.
All
We should have
right.
some music to go with that.
Yeah.
I got some stats for you here because I'm a stats guy. Marshall and Nacogdoches have played 14 times since 2004. Okay. In those 14 matchups, Marshall has won 12 of them. So they have a 12-2 record. Now, Nacogdoches has had some down years, so that shouldn't surprise you. Marshall's won the last 4 matchups. Nac's last win came in 2020, and Marshall's kind of won these handily. 42-0 last year, 70-40 in 23, 49-15 in 22, and 28-7 in 21. So they've handled it pretty handily. And just to tell you how much these stats matter, last week, Kilgore had averaged 48.5 points against Lindell in the last 9 meetings. How many did they score Friday? 49, right on par. Kilgore had also beaten Lindell in their 6 wins, had won by an average of 21 points. The score on Friday was a 20-point victory. So these stats matter, people. These stats matter. So I think this is a huge game. I love what Nac's got going on with Jalen Garrett, their freshman. I almost said rookie. Their freshman quarterback. I love what they got going on down there. Coach House is awesome. They had a ton of people come back this year, and like I said earlier, this is their best start since 2013. A 6-1 start. They have, if you combine Coach House's first 2 years at NAC, they have as many wins in those first 2 years this year as they do now. So bad way of wording that, but they have 6 wins and they have 3 in his first 2 years. So I'm really happy with what NAC's doing. I think they have a good chance to make the playoffs. First time since 2021 they haven't been in the playoffs in 3 years. All that being said, here's my swerve, Jeremy. All that being said, Marshall is Marshall. Marshall's a dang good football team. I think Marshall is the second best team in this district. So I think they win Friday, and I think they clinch a home playoff game in that district. So give me the Marshall Mavs.
Okay. Jeremy, he did it again to you. Did you think he was going Nac there?
No, that one he didn't get me. You fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, or shame on you. Fool me twice, that's shame on me. No, I didn't fall for it. No, man. Again, I think what they're doing in NAC has been great. I think this is the game where the freshman quarterback might look like a freshman. It's a big game. It matters a lot, right? And again, they all matter, but this one just has a little bit different, right? I think coming in as a kid growing up in both places what that record is head-to-head, and you know that Marshall's had your number, and then Marshall's at home. I think that NAC is in a really good spot. I think they've made huge strides. I think they're a very good team. I don't think they're quite to Marshall's level yet. So I'm going to take the Marshall Mavericks in this one.
Okay. I am also going to take Marshall. I think this will be a competitive game, though. I think Nacogdoches can compete in this game. Going on the road to Marshall, I'm not sure the distance on that trip, but that's a long trip.
I'm not sure of the exact distance, but it's
probably
not a hop, skip, and a jump.
It's probably close to 2 hours, huh? I would think.
Let's see.
It's got to be
pretty quick research.
Pretty far, but I just think that Marshall is. I think I agree with Kyle. I think they're the second best team in this district. I think the game will be.
Oh,
is it not as far as we thought?
it's
Maybe
only
they're
an hour and 22 minutes.
okay. Maybe it's just I guess maybe it's just straight sideways for us, so it's just a different route. Because I think
It's
Marshall.
an hour. It's a little over an hour from Lindale, so 20 more minutes from Knack. That's Knack's not as far south as we think. Like I was looking at it the other day. It's not that far south. Like it seems like it's a long way away, but it's really not that far.
It's probably one big triangle if you really take Tyler, Knack, and Marshall. Like they're probably all pretty equal away from each other. It's just not,
Knack's almost more like like down to Jacksonville and kind of kick over and a little bit south, but not like, Lufkin's the one that's like, that was the one that we back in the day when I was middle school, we would play Knack and Lufkin off and on at times. And man, that Lufkin trip was a beating. Knack wasn't horrible. But yeah, the Lufkin trip feels like it's about 7 days, and the route itself makes it seem longer.
Well, it's an extra 30 minutes both ways. You add that, you multiply that times 2.
Yeah, and then we had to drive our own buses. So then it was like drive a bus down, coach 2 games, and drive a bus back. I was dead to the world for a couple of days after that. It just felt like you had to get your bearings back.
But yeah, I'm going to take Marshall as well. I just think Marshall is they're established, and I know what Marshall is. Nacogdoches, this would be a huge win for them. Like huge win.
Huge.
I think it's going to be, if this game was in Nac, then I might lean more to I just don't. That's going to be a hard trip. You got a freshman quarterback y'all mentioned that's been playing really well to go on the road in a game that's a huge importance. Like who would have thought they would be playing in an important game like this, at this time of the year when we started.
Well, it kind of worries me too on Knack with how they looked against White House. Like I don't think White House and Knack are that close. I think Knack is the better team. So I would have liked to see them go out and dominate that game. But White House, to their credit, played them really tight and kept it close. But I think that's what worries me a little bit about Knack. But when you look at their only loss is to Lufkin, which is a really good football team. So, and Marshall struggled early on with Tyler High. I know Tyler High is Jekyll and Hyde kind of, right? Like it's tough. So, and then they lost to Longview as well. So I don't know, man. I think it's going to be a really good game. I just think, like what you said, Marshall has been more established. This is a great story for Knack this season. And if they win, that would be huge, but Marshall's the established team.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Game 5, the Chapel Hill Bulldogs take the road and play an important game in Pine Tree on Friday. Chapel Hill coming in at 5-3, Pine Tree at 4-3 off their big win over Henderson last week. Man, I'm rolling with my Bulldogs, man. I think they're the 3rd spot in this district, and I think they're going to take care of business at Pine Tree. I just think they've got too many athletes to not go over to Pine Tree and win. They've got too much coming back. I think they took it out on poor Maybank last week. I think it was like 60-something to nothing, like in the second quarter. I just feel like that 3rd place is theirs to take, and Coach Reardon will have them ready to go and to go pick up that road win in Pine Tree. Jeremy, what you got?
You asked me before this weekend, right before last week, I think it would have been an easy pick to go Chapel Hill. I think Pine Tree doing what they did to Henderson makes me slow down just a little bit, right? Like, I think Pine Tree is better than I gave them credit for. And it is in Pine Tree. But, man, I don't know. I just I'm trying to figure out which way to go here. Again, I think it's going to be a really good game. Give me Chapel Hill.
KO?
Jeez Louise, man. I'm kind of with Jeremy here. Like, if you would have asked me this before last week, before Pine Tree beat Henderson, I would have picked Chapel Hill, hands down. It gives me pause that Pine Tree beat Henderson, but I still think Chapel Hill is the better team. Like Chapel Hill just has way too many athletes. They're better defensively, I think. Like I just think Chapel Hill is the better football team. I'm gonna give you a stat though, Brett. A 1-3 record for the Bulldogs on the road. But when you look at who they lost
Who
to on
they
the
lost
road,
to on the road, yeah.
it makes
Kilgore,
sense.
Lindale, and
Carthage.
Carthage, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty tough road schedule. That's like the SEC.
Yeah, it is. So and on top of that, Gilmer is a common opponent for both teams. Pine Tree lost to Gilmer. Chapel Hill beat Gilmer. So I think Chapel Hill wins this one. I think it's close at first, and then I think Chapel Hill kind of pulls away with it.
All right. Game 6. Shelbyville Dragons and the St. Augustine Wolves in this battle for playoff supremacy in this district. This is gonna be a tough one here. Kyle, you're shaking your head, but I'm gonna go to you first. Do you take your Wolves again this week? Do they knock off Shelbyville at home? You were the only one that rolled with them last week.
I know. And looking at this schedule, St. Augustine's played a ton of away games. Seems kind of like a loaded schedule for them for away games. But I think this. I believe in this St. Augustine team, man. This win over Garrison last week, that 31-15 win, that was big time. I think that says a lot about how good this team can be. I still don't think they've reached the potential of how good they can be. I don't know if it was a clean game or not. Talked about St. Augustine's turnovers. I don't know if it was clean or not, but to win 31-15, it's got to be somewhat clean. You don't get that by accident. So,
Shelbyville's schedule, dude. Their schedule is tough. Like you look at their schedule, but they have a win over Carlisle. St. Augustine lost to Carlisle. Now you were at that game. And you saw the turnovers.
Turnovers by St. Augustine, though. Yeah. Shelbyville can put up points. That's the thing, and that's what's interesting about that Timpson game is, they were down early on and they were able to come back and win just 17-14. I like Coach Wallace over there at Shelbyville. I think it's an impressive win that they got over Timpson, but I am rolling with the Wolves, man. Call me the leader of the Wolf Pack. I'm on the Wolf train. St. Augustine.
Okay. Bring out the NWO shirts. You gonna bring out the Wolf Pack? Red and black? Yeah. Jeremy, who you got?
I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. Give me St. Augustine at home. Again, I don't think Shelbyville is a bad team, but I think St. Augustine is the better team. So I'm gonna roll with them. I think they've got momentum off a big win, and again, I'm trying to think, but I think was the Shelbyville Carlisle game, was that the one where was that when Ibarra got hurt, or the one after? I can't remember. I think it was right in there. I think the Shelbyville one was maybe where he got hurt, if I remember right. And so I'm thinking that a healthy Carlisle probably wins that game against Shelbyville, maybe. So I don't know, but I'm going to go with St. Augustine.
Okay. So, and I do want to mention, that's why we're talking about these games, that I believe that's where Larry will be Friday night. We'll be in St. Augustine for that Shelbyville St. Augustine. That game will be live on NETSN. Yeah, man, it's what St. Augustine has done so far in district play. I mean, to come in, basically, we even said the odd team out, right? Who are they going to knock off to get that 4th spot? Well, they said, forget that. We're going for the district title. I mean, we beat a Joaquin team that went to the state semis last year, and we beat a Garrison team that's been ranked or talked about all year long. That's not 2 easy wins that they've picked up. They pick up this win over Shelbyville, that probably locks them in the playoffs, and they get a Hemp Hill team and then a Timpson team to close. I just can't pick against St. Augustine. I saw a little bit of the game against Carlisle. Kyle mentioned it. They turned the ball over 5 times, and they fought tooth and nail in that game and had a chance at the end, had the ball at the end with a chance to win. So I'm going with St. Augustine and Coach Barnes. I will have him, Larry will have him live tomorrow at 1:00 on our channel with Wolf Talk with Coach Barnes. And so tune in for that to see what his thoughts are about this week's game, but I'm going with the Wolves. We'll stay in this district for game 7. The Joaquin Rams and the Timpson Bears. Man, this one, I don't think they may not throw the ball but maybe 5 times in this game. Both teams like to run the ball. You've got Cooper Bragg on the Joaquin Rams as their go-to tailback, and then you've got on Timpson, you've got Richardson and Parker, the quarterback running back combo on Timpson. This game probably won't last very long. It's gonna be like it'll be opposite of ours, Jeremy. Like a 2-hour game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. This is gonna be tough. We're gonna let you pick, Jeremy. You're gonna go first this time. Timpson and Joaquin.
Again, I think pre last week, I think it would have been a harder pick. But I'm going to go with the Joaquin Rams. Give me the Rams on the road. I think they're going to have
Los Angeles Rams over the 49ers. Oh
no, Lord no. I know the helmet makes it hard to pick the Rams. Just as a 49ers fan, no, I think. Had Timpson beat Shelbyville, I think that makes this game a little bit different when I look at it. But I'm going to go with Joaquin on this one. So.
All right, Kale.
Beautiful. Played right into my hand, Jeremy. I was going to pick opposite of whatever you picked, but I wanted Timpson. I was leaning Timpson, and so you gave me Timpson. I'll take the Timpson Bears at home to beat Joaquin.
Man, this one's tough. I've seen Timpson. I got to see them a few weeks ago against Wolf City at Grace Community, and they are so potent offensively, so potent. That's what surprised me about the 14-17 game. I mean, they've put up some points this season. You got 47. Of course, they lost to Lovelady at 19 points, and Westwood they put up 28. 2 really good teams. Of course, then the Wolf City game I mentioned, they put 61 up. Hooks was a little surprising that they only put up 28, but Hooks is also a higher classification team. Of course, they put up 55 against Hemphill. That's not really a surprise there. But this 14 against Shelbyville, that was surprising. I love Coach Jones and the Rams, and I just they're a hard team to pick. Like, right, if the game plays into Joaquin's hands, they can really have a handle on it. They can run their offense and they move the ball and they just keep the ball possession game going and they stay ahead there. It's great. But if you can't throw, you don't like to throw, it's very hard to win multiple different ways. I'm going to go with Timpson. It's at home. I'm going to pick Timpson as well. I think that's the difference to me. As Jeremy, he's do this. I guess Jaron won't be able to get a game against all of us on this one. So I'm going to go with Timpson, though. I really do. I think the difference is at home, and the fact that Timpson is a little more versatile of how they can win. If they need to throw the ball, they can a little more than the Rams. All right, game 8. We got Lone Oak and Grand Saline in a battle there in that district that's got the 3-headed monster. You got Edgewood on top with Lone Oak and Grand Saline right below. Lone Oak at 3-0 in district play. Grand Saline at 2-1. I mean, you got to look at common opponents here. To me, you've got Lone Oak and Grand Saline have a common opponent of, I think it's Paris Chisholm is their common opponent. Lone Oak beat Paris Chisholm.
Reigns.
Oh, at the very top of it. Yeah. Okay. Lone Oak beat Reigns 26-21.
It's a rivalry, though.
It is. And then you've got Chisholm 55-32. So that's a 23-point win. Grand Saline beat them pretty handily 46-7. So this one's tough. Okay, so there's only one person here that's seen Lone Oak. So that's Jeremy. So we're going to go to Jeremy first. He's seen Lone Oak.
I have.
He was celebrating a while ago, Kyle. Now he's not celebrating anymore. Jeremy, you've seen Lone Oak play. Can they beat Grand Saline?
Okay, so yeah, Jaron and I called the game in Lone Oak. Man, it's a beautiful facility, beautiful field. It's turf, right? It's a great spot. It's kind of cool because it's like out in the middle of nowhere, right? Like there's like this like crazy I'm going blank. My goodness, solar panel farm, right? And then all of a sudden you come up and there's a football stadium, and it's a great stadium, a cool little setup. They're fast. They're a fast team. They're a quick team. They didn't play an opponent, that game that we were there for. I mean, it was Big Sandy. And so it was a tough tough game for Big Sandy. They didn't have much of a chance, and Lone Oak looked great. I've not seen Grand Saline. Man, I don't know. I think just based off what I've seen, I'm going to go Lone Oak here. I'm going to go with the Lone Oak Buffaloes. And again, I see Kyle smiling. That's great. Come on, bring it. No, I'm going to go Lone Oak, and I could be wrong. That's fine. And the people from Grand Saline can send me all kinds of love letters if I'm wrong. But I have seen Lone Oak. I've seen what they're capable of, and again, they've got a lot of speed, and I think speed is going to be the big key in this one. So I'm going to go Lone Oak.
Look, this is no disrespect to Lone Oak. Here's their 6 wins.
Their schedule is what you're going to say.
Rains, Winona, Big Sandy, Paris Chisholm, Prairieland, and Quitman. Not exactly a murderer's row of opponents in that situation. Grand Saline just took one on the chin a couple weeks ago to Edgewood, and I guarantee you Coach Drennan and the Indians are not letting that slide. I promise you that they are not happy about that. And I think you're going to get an angry Grand Saline team the rest of the season. I agree with you 100% about Lone Oak's facilities. They've done a ton of construction over there these past couple of years. Their baseball and softball complex, absolutely gorgeous. Football field, gorgeous. The gym just got renovated, gorgeous. Like, they have top-notch facilities over in Lone Oak. This game's not being played in Lone Oak, being played in Grand Saline. Give me the Indians on the reservation.
Kyle, I agree with you. I was going to say, I knew exactly where you were going with the schedule. I was just looking at it, and I'm like, I look at Grand Saline. They also played Rains, but they played Cooper, which we don't think they're a powerhouse, but Cooper's always has a playoff team. They're always competitive, right? You lose against Palmer, which we found out Palmer's a pretty good team as well. Of course, they lost to Edgewood. Joaquin, I think that's a team that, of course, they just made a run. We just talked about the tough district they're in. And so you look at Lone Oak, and I don't know what the combined wins of their schedule is, but it's not a whole lot.
It can't be much.
It's not a whole lot, because I know Big Sandy hasn't won a game. Winona, Rains has two wins. Winona's got 1 win. Big Sandy has no wins. Tioga, I've only got them playing twice, but they have 1 win and 1 loss. But I can't pick against a team if I don't know what they are. Do I think Lone Oak could win? Sure. I just don't know.
Did you have them in your poll?
Who's that?
Lone Oak. Did you have you?
I do have Lone Oak because they won games.
I'm just asking. I mean, for a guy that's talking, I mean, he's the guy that of the 3 of us, he's the only one that has him in his poll, and then he's talking.
I do have Lone Oak in my poll. I do,
and I know you have Grand Saline in your poll too.
But
what's Lone Oak's rank in your poll?
They're at the very bottom.
Okay, where's Grand Saline?
Bottom rank at Grand Saline. They're a little above them, so it's okay.
Like 1?
Not much. Not much.
1 above 2.
But
I'm just asking. I'm just trying to get some context here.
You can ask. That's fine. But Grand Saline, they've lost 2 games. Lone Oak's only lost 1. So when you do most of the time move down whenever you lose, except for Athens. They're the one exception. But I'm going to go with Grand Saline here. I'm going with Grand Saline. To me, I look at schedule a lot more when I come to a matchup of 2 teams that I think are very similar as far as record goes and competition goes. I think the competition needs to be equal. If it's not, then I don't know exactly what they are. You saw Lone Oak, so you have the advantage of that.
And here's my argument, and I get it. I'm with you. Like, I know but you can't help. Like, you can't always help who you play, right? And you can't help all the time. And maybe nobody wants to travel to Lone Oak. I don't know, but I mean, and again, I'm not saying Grand Saline's a slouch by any means. I really don't. I'm really not saying that. Again, my pick is purely on what I've seen. And again, Buffaloes, let's ride. Yeah. This is a classic matchup. This defined the West in many ways.
Well, and Kyle pointed out
Buffaloes and the Indians, right? Like, this is like my grandpa would be loving this. Like, he was the king of Westerns, right? Like, this is it. So I'm just saying the Buffalo's going to win. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to say
Kyle's point, honestly, the Rains game, to me, that was a good point. You look at that. Rains is not very prolific. They're not normally a football power, would you say?
No. I love Coach Oaks over there, but no, they've been struggling a little bit recently.
So the fact that they won by 5 and then you got a team that beats them handily, that kind of.
My only caveat is that Lone Oak Reigns is a rivalry in every sport. So that's my only caveat to that. And it's the first game of the year. Like,
Yeah,
who really
true.
knows what anybody has in the first game, you know?
It's true. But 2 weeks later, they played Grand Saline, and Grand Saline beat them 42-14.
Yeah.
So
there's that too.
Okay. All right.
We'll
Well,
find out next week. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm just, again, I might be bad at picking. Trust my polls.
I hope so.
Cautious, trust but verify my pick, right?
Are you taking the place of Jaron on this show, Jeremy?
No. Listen, let's not go extreme here. I had a couple of off weeks. I didn't say I had an off season. I had a couple of off weeks.
All right, game 9. West Rusk travels over to Troop, Texas. Both teams undefeated in district play to take on the Troop Tigers. We just start out by saying, man, I love what Coach Mata is doing in West Rusk. I think they have a great team. But I just saw Troop the other night, man, and they got guys, if they touch the ball in space, it's a touchdown every time. Like, I don't know how to emphasize that more. I know West Rusk has a really good defense, and I think that'll help them. Unfortunately, New Diana didn't have any answers the other night as Troop just ran up and down the field, a track meet like we mentioned. It's a game that Keith will have on NETSN. We'll be traveling over to Troop, Texas. I'm going to take the Troop Tigers, and I think they take control of the district and they get the win. KO, what do you think here?
I'm with you. I love Coach Mata. I love what West Rusk has going on right now. Their only loss to Malakoff early in the season. They beat Gladewater. Love all that. Troop is different. Troop is different this year. I think they just got too much speed, too much talent. They seem destined to do something special this season. So I'm going to take the Troop Tigers.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I think this is, again, I echo everything you guys said. Like, I think Coach Mata has done a fantastic job at West Rusk. I think that they're a good football team, but they are not Troop. And Troop, again, I'd heard all the things, right? But I think until you actually see Troop in person, you just can't fathom it, right? Like, to me, watching, again, I saw Brett Wells run, and he reminded me a lot of that same thing that we saw at Lindale with Hank Thurman. Like, you think you've got him lined up, you think you've got him squared up, and all of a sudden he's by you and you barely touched an ankle, right? Like, and then, dude, D. Hawley took a jet sweep, and I'm not kidding. The safety had an angle on him. The safety was ahead of him by yards, and, Hawley pulled it. He pulled away by 10, 15 yards down the sideline. It was unbelievable to watch. It literally looked like a guy taking the baton handoff to finish the 4x1, and the guy that was trying to catch him was the one that had already handed it off, like it was coasting to slow down. His separation was unbelievable. And then you got Cameron on the other side who caught 2 deep passes. It's just a team that can strike anywhere. And we were, at halftime at 86 points and thought, man, I don't know what's going to happen. And then Troop came out and shut them down. They didn't allow a single point after halftime. In fact, really, probably the last 4 minutes of the first half, all the way through the second half, they didn't allow a score. And they shut down New Diana got what they wanted early. And so Troop can play defense, right? And I know they didn't show that early in the game, but their adjustments were spot on in that second half. And they made New Diana fight for every square inch of that field that they took in the second half. And so I'm going Troop.
All right. Game 10. What could be the matchup in East Texas this week? The 7-0 Lovelady Lions against the 7-0 Mount Enterprise Wildcats. All right, guys. And big spoiler alert, we will have this game live on NETSN. It was added to our schedule. Jaron will be traveling down there, and Chris Phillips will be joining him in the booth for his first time this season for this big matchup here. Man, this is just a huge game right here. And Kyle, I'm going to go to you first. Lovelady and Mount Enterprise. I just have this strange feeling there's going to be a lot of points scored, and it's going to be a shootout. But maybe I'm jinxing it. I don't know. I don't think so. I think we're pretty safe with the shootout here. How do you see this one going? 2 teams ranked in our polls.
This one's tough. This one is the toughest one of the week, I think. I saw the Kagan Ash experience firsthand against a very good Grapeland team. My issue with Mount Enterprise, and I think you see this a lot in smaller schools because it's a product of everybody having to play both ways. But their defense just gives up a lot of points, and they have to yes, I know you have to outscore your opponent to win the game. I get that, but they have to score so many points to win. Like I Lovelady has 2 shutouts this year. Granted, they're against lesser teams, but they've pitched 2 shutouts and they've got a 6-point game on there. They've held teams to lower points. Can they do that against Kagan Ash though? Because that is a different human being. That's the thing. Like my mind is telling me pick the defense because defense wins championships, and this is your district championship on the line. Defense wins championships, go with the defense. But when on the other side is Kagan Ash, it's that Terry Bussey effect. Like, he can score whenever he touches the ball, and they can get him the ball on every single snap. They do direct snaps to him a lot. So he can directly get the snap and then make something happen. Is that going to be enough against this Lovelady team? I just don't know, and that's where I'm stuck at. And I want to, because it's not just Kagan. Like, Aiden Alsop is a very good running back too for Mount Enterprise. Their quarterback, I'm going blank on his name, but he's a physical runner too. He is huge, and he is a physical running back. Kagan's physical. Alsop is physical. I haven't seen Lovelady in person, so I don't have any firsthand experience of them. I can just go off points and highlights that I've seen, and they're a dang good football team. So I don't know, man. I'm going off history again. I haven't seen Mount Enterprise do it. I need to see it happen. Give me Lovelady. I don't feel great about it, but I'm taking Lovelady.
Do you feel better about it than the pick earlier with the Mount Enterprise or Mount Vernon Winsboro?
Nope. And I'm going back on that one too. Matter of fact, let's just y'all pick. Go ahead. I'm taking Lovelady in this one. I'm taking Lovelady.
Jeremy?
Man, yeah, I said earlier that, yeah. Oh man, I don't know. I've seen Ash in person, and he is unreal. I think the thing that makes me a little bit nervous about them is they are very one-dimensional. Now, again, that one dimension is phenomenal, but it is one-dimensional.
Is he 3D? Is he a 3D guy?
He plays fantastic defense. He can run the ball, but they don't throw it a lot. They just don't. Now, they haven't really needed to because you can run it for 1,000, 6,000, yards a game. But my fear is the team that can figure out how to slow that down. Can Mount Enterprise go off that? Can they throw if they have to? That's the thing I don't know. And again, I haven't seen Lovelady in person. This is rough. Like, this is a great game. Like, I'm not sure. I know the game that you pick for game of the week is going to be phenomenal as well. But man, like, if you could go like game of the week, this has to be the second option, right? Like, this is an unbelievable game.
It was discussed. Believe me, there was this week picking the red zone game of the week was a longer discussion than we've had all season long, just because Troop and West Rusk was an option. Like, there's so many good games this week. This was definitely high up there.
Well, the fact that you'd already been to Mount Enterprise probably once, if you hadn't have gone already, maybe, because I know you guys try to, you don't want to just cover one school every week.
Yeah, but once you get this late in the season, like, you kind of throw that out the window because then you just want to go to the best game, whether you've done them already or not. But yeah, it was tough. So who'd you pick, Jeremy?
I haven't yet.
You didn't pick yet.
I'm stalling as long as possible.
He wants to make a Jaren pick here and pick both teams.
No. Again, like, I want you to watch the game that we're doing. But man, if you're going to watch one game and own one game only on football, a football game on Friday night, like, you can't miss this game, right? If you're going to pick one. Or you
or
split screen that
wake
sucker
up
and you watch
Saturday
4.
morning and rewatch it.
That's true, and it will be
rewatch
again.
it
It'll be
over and over and over. I was actually watching some of the games. So Mount Enterprise had a classic with Overton last year where they went to overtime and Overton won by 1 point with an extra point in overtime, and that game's still on our channel. You can watch it over and over again. But Overton was down. I'd forgotten that they were down in that game by like 20 or 25 points, something. It was, I think, 32-8 or something at one point. Came back and won that game, which shows you Mount Enterprise does give up points, and so that's a problem. Now, if you can continue to score, I mean, you still have to stop Mr. Ash.
all right. I've stopped long enough. I've flipped about 10 coins. I'm gonna go. Gosh, dang it! No, I don't know what I'm gonna go.
Look, and Lovelady has held good offenses to lower points, whereas Mount Enterprise just has to continue scoring. Like, I don't know, and Lovelady could put up a ton of points. I don't know if Mount Enterprise can get a stop to get the advantage. Like, maybe they do score every time they touch the ball, but if Lovelady has one more possession, then Lovelady's going to win. And
They've allowed 13, 19, 6, 34, 0, 29, and 0.
I'm gonna go. I mean, again, defense ultimately wins championships. This is that time of the year where I think defense is going to matter a little bit more. Again, I've seen the Kagan Ash experience. The dude is a monster. He's been one of my favorite players to watch this year, just because of, you wouldn't know about him had it not been for this era of the internet and be able to go to YouTube and watch stuff. Right, like, he'd probably be a guy that's overlooked, unfortunately, but thankfully he's not. But I'm gonna take Lovelady. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a shootout, but I think Lovelady's defense is going to make one critical stop, either late in the first half or late in the second half, that's going to change the game. So give me Lovelady in a squeaker.
Yeah, it could be a turnover too. It could be a turnover that changes the game, whether it's a fumble, a mishandled snap, something like that. I think it's going to come down to something like that. These two teams are so even. Like, I think it's going to come down to a mistake, unfortunately, that the other team's going to have to capitalize on.
Yeah, my only thing is, of course, I haven't seen Overton play yet this season, but Lovelady played a close, tight game with Overton. Overton was ahead at one point in the game. It's the only thing that concerns me a little bit there, because I think, obviously Overton did better in this district last year, I think, than they had this year, because they lost so much off of that team from last year, and so that concerns me a little bit. Like, if I was to look down the schedule, I know Garrison's a solid win, even though they've struggled here up and down. But you got to remember, Lovelady is a 2A D2. They're at the very last level of 11-man football. So, when you get down this level, even jumping up to Division I is still, 5 or 6 extra guys on the sideline, probably, at least. And so that's the only hesitation. I love what Kagan Ash is doing. And he's got to play I don't think he ever probably comes off. I don't know if he probably kicks for him. He probably runs back he's probably never leaves the field. I think he's one of those guys that never leaves. And just how much wear and tear that takes if he has to do that much on offense. And he's a great linebacker, but is he going to be gassed by the time into the game? And I think, Kyle, you mentioned that about being in these shootouts like this. If he's having to continue to run back and forth and do that, it's going to be hard. I want to pick Mount Enterprise, and I'm cheering for Mount Enterprise. But I'm with you guys. Lovelady has been a proven powerhouse. Like, they are every year you see them second, third round still playing. And so I'm going to go with them, but I'm going to be rooting for Mr. Ash and company. So if I get this one wrong, then I'd be happy with it. I'm okay with that. But I'm just going to go by picking wise what I've seen. And again, if they can hold these other teams, I mean, they've only allowed 34 is the highest they've allowed all year. And if you look at Mount Enterprise, they've scored at least 32 in every game. If you take that one out, their next lowest is 52. So something's got to get.
Lovelady scored over 40 in every game.
Yeah.
So that's the Lovelady can get stops where Mount Enterprise has shown they can't make the stops as consistently as Lovelady.
Yeah. Yep. And so I think that's the difference. I really do. And again, I hope I'm wrong. I'm going to be cheering for, and I'm a super pumped that we have that game this week. It's going to be an exciting one. It's one we got added late, and kind of jealous I won't be there. But I
did change my pick. I did change my pick. Not for this game, but I'm picking Mount Vernon.
Okay. All right.
I've already submitted it. It's done. I'm the only person that's picked Mount Vernon.
Okay.
So that's a great start.
Great start. Hey, nope, because I just submitted mine. So there's another person that picked Mount Vernon as well. So you're in there with me. So man, there's just some great games. Let's look at this at the some of the other games around the area, guys. Is there any other ones that you guys want to point out that we've got coming up? It's a really good week of football. And we'll have Thursday games, so we'll start with there. Of course, Keith and Jason will be traveling to Wascom for Big Sandy Wascom. And then Jeremy and I will be in Hawkins for Beckville and Hawkins, which we talked about, a big game for Hawkins. They've got to win out to have any chance. They need some wins. They've got a chance to get Beckville at home, which Beckville shows up. If they can get the Beckville that lost the first 2 weeks that shows up, maybe they get a chance, but it'll be a tough one there on Thursday. And then, of course, Harleton Union Grove, we mentioned that one. That's going to probably be a battle for, who can stay in that playoff hunt there in that district. So is there any games specifically on Friday that you guys are looking forward to? Kay, you got any that you're kind of keeping your eyes out that weren't in our pick'em?
Oh, of course, I do. I got I'm interested obviously in the Lufkin and the Tyler High games. I think Lufkin at home against Port Arthur Memorial, and then Tyler High at home against Midlothian. Both of those are huge matchups in the 5A ranks. But when you get into 4A, how about Van traveling to Pittsburgh? Like, I think that's a big time game. Both teams 5-2 there, so I think that's a big game that could decide possibly the 3 and 4 seed, maybe, depending on how things fare there. So I think that's a big time game. And then going through
we mentioned Overton and Alto earlier, but that's one to watch for in that district.
Yeah,
Overton,
for sure.
Travel to Alto.
No, I think we pretty much hit on all of them that
New Diana Buffalo. We talked about that a little bit earlier. That's an important game for possibly that 4th spot. Whoever gets that win would have a leg up.
Heath and Longview is a big one for Longview, right? Not as much for Heath because they're at the top, but I think for Longview to have, for seeding for them, for a chance at a run in the playoffs, I think that's a big game for them.
Let's see. That's I got most of the good ones. Oh, Sunnyvale Quinlan 4. We mentioned it a little bit earlier, but that game is this week. So that's the game that Canton will be keeping their eye on, as those two teams are also 2-0 in the district. So whoever wins that game will have a leg up, and they're kind of going to play one of those a 3-way round robin the next 3 weeks to see who's going to be first, second, and third.
It's a Tony Khan eliminator match between the 3.
Oh, and I'm still other nights finish is still baffling me a little bit on that.
I told you I'm done with it. Wipe my hands clean with that company.
I think we got most of them. There's some really good games in our pick'ems this week. I think I guess my biggest takeaway will be, how some of these games shake out, and then how will that affect the district standings over the next couple of weeks. And I think that's something to really check out. Again, we have those on our website now and under district standings if you want to check them out. As we kind of close out tonight, what are you guys' final thoughts? Jeremy, we'll start with you.
I'm excited. I mean, I think, you and I get back to the 2 games slate again. I felt like we were kind of slacking a little bit the last couple of weeks just doing one game. No, I'm excited. I think, again, this is that time of the year where it's like, prove it, right? It's time to prove it. It's time to put it up or as they say, shut up, right? Like, you've got to win these games. These are huge games. They're coming down to the wire, just a few weeks left. And so I think the pick'ems they're tough games all the way across the board. And, so I think that's it. I think this is that time of year where everybody's just getting excited, and you can kind of see where matchups could and couldn't be and what happens if this happens. And so it's fun for those people that aren't, diehard fans and or just fans of football. It's a great time of year.
It's like Jeremy said, it's prove it season. It's time to separate the pretenders from the contenders and see who's really about to make a run in these playoffs. And I think we're getting to that point in the season where you're starting to see that. And we got some of the usual suspects, but you got some new ones popping in too, making some noise. So it's exciting to see the new teams that haven't been in the playoffs for a few years kind of make their run right now and to try to get in. And I think that's the most exciting thing, is not so much the returners, the ones that are always there, but the new teams that haven't been there in a while and have opportunities to really make some noise. I think that's the most exciting part.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for tonight's episode of Beast from the East. Thanks everyone for tuning in to tonight's episode. Again, good luck in your pick'ems and with your teams this week. For Jeremy Diamond, for Mr. Red Zone OT, K.O. Collins, I'm Mr. NETSN, Brett Swinney, signing off for the evening. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week right here on Beast from the East. Good night, everybody.
The Northeast Texas Sports Network is dedicated on delivering the most entertaining sports broadcasts in East Texas. And if you're interested in having your next sporting event streamed live, visit us online at NETSN.